Soccer Cup tunayafanya kila mwaka. Mara ya mwisho tumeyafanya mwaka jana mwezi wa 3 katika shule ya Royalty International iliyoko Mbezi Makonde. Mashindano haya yanahusisha shule za English medium pamoja na international schools, na mashindano haya yanaanzia umri wa miaka 13 mpaka 18 kwa wasichana na wavulana. Nao tunategemea siku za usoni tuweze kufanya mikoa mbalimbali pia, isiwe Dar es Salaam peke yake, kwenda Mwanza, Arusha, Shinyanga, Mtwara na mikoa mingine yote. Mwaka jana tumeshaendesha kliniki moja kubwa tukishirikiana na timu ya taifa ya Tanzania kwa ushirikiano na TFF ambao leta timu ya taifa ya Tanzania. Tulifanyia hapa Royal International School. Kliniki hii ilikuwa ni nzuri kabisa, ambao tuliweza kukutana tulikuwa na watoto zaidi ya 200.
Ni vijana ambao wanahitaji kufika malengo ambayo tumefikia sisi. Kwa mimi nimefurahi kuungana nao, au tumefurahi kuungana nao kwa sababu ni sisi wenyewe tumetokea huko.
Naweza kushukuru Afrisoka pamoja na TFF kuandaa hii kliniki ya kuja kuwasapoti wadogo zetu. Naamini sisi wote tumetokea huko. Kikubwa cha kuwaasa wadogo zetu, kwanza shule, cha pili mpira.
Kwa niaba ya wachezaji niko hapa leo tumeweza kuwatembelea wadogo zetu hapa. Tunafurahi sana kwa kuweza kuja kuungana na vijana wetu hapa.
Afrisoka pia tunafanya tour. Tunachukua watoto kuwajengea kupenda mpira wa miguu. Kwa hiyo tunachukua watoto tunawapeleka sehemu mbalimbali ambazo zinahusisha matukio ya mpira wa miguu. Kwa mfano katika mechi za timu ya taifa, vilabu vikiwa vinacheza wakati mwingine, na kwenda sehemu mbalimbali ambazo zinahusiana na masuala ya football, ili kuweza kufanya watoto wao waweze kupenda football toka wakiwa wadogo, na hii kuwajengea pia kuongeza juhudi katika mafunzo yao ya kila siku ambayo tunayapatia. Shughuli nyingine ambayo tunafanya pia ni kuendesha camps kwa ajili ya za mpira wa miguu kwa watoto kuanzia miaka 8 mpaka miaka 17, ambapo mara nyingi tunazifanya hizi wakati wa likizo. Kwa wakati wa likizo, wakati mwingine wazazi wako busy na watoto pia wameshasoma sana, wamechoka, inabidi wapate nafasi ya kupumzika. Kwa hiyo kupitia hizi camp watoto wanacheza na kufurahia football na kuweza kurelax na kujiandaa tena kwa wakati mwingine watakapofungua shule.
Naitwa Dr. May Bukuku. Nimeshiriki katika camping hii ya Afrisoka kama facilitator, kama matron ambaye nimekuwa ninawaangalia watoto kwa ujumla katika masuala yao ya afya. Camping tuliona ni muhimu kuianza kipindi hichi cha likizo kwa sababu watoto waweze kupata nafasi ya kufanya mazoezi, kushiriki katika kujifunza masuala ya mpira ambayo kama Afrisoka ndio kazi yake kubwa. Na washauri wazazi, tuwaruhusu watoto wetu wafanye michezo, tuwaandikishe Afrisoka waje kushiriki michezo. Ni network nzuri sana. Mimi nimeenjoy sana, mwanangu pia yuko hapa. Ni network nzuri sana sababu wanafunzi wako mbalimbali kutoka shule mbalimbali, kwa hiyo unakuta wana network, wanaongea, wanabadilishana mawazo mbalimbali. Yaani ni kitu kizuri sana. Wewe mzazi unakaa pembeni unawatazama. Sababu mimi nimekuwa nao siku zote, ninalala hapa, kwa hiyo unaona kabisa the way wanavyoenjoy ile hali ya kuwa pamoja na kubadilishana mawazo.
My name is Harley. I used to study in FK and I came here to Afrisoka to be a really good trained footballer, so in the future I can go to different countries and play football matches. And I love Afrisoka because they teach you every skill in football, and it is open and you can have so much friends here.
Afrisoka tunaonyesha pia na usimamizi wa wachezaji wa mpira wa miguu wa ndani na nje mpaka ya Tanzania. Kwa uchache yuko mchezaji Hassan Nasoro ambaye anachezea klabu ya Polisi Tanzania, lakini pia tunaye Haruna Kasim Shaban, Abdul Aziz Makame, Baraka. Pia tunao wadogo ambao chini ya umri wa miaka 20 kama Baraka Abdurazak Amza ambaye anacheza pale klabu ya Mbeya City, lakini pia yuko timu ya taifa ya Under 23. Huwa tunaendesha semina za kuwajengea uwezo wachezaji hawa, na mara ya mwisho tuliendesha semina hiyo mwaka jana mwezi wa 7 katika hoteli ya White Sand iliyoko hapa Dar es Salaam. Ilikuwa ni semina siku moja. Tulikuwa na wataalamu kutoka nchi mbalimbali ikiwepo Ufaransa, Egypt, lakini pia na Watanzania wengine ambao wamebobea katika maeneo ambayo tulikuwa tunayazungumzia kwa ajili ya kuweza kuwajenga wachezaji wetu. Kwa hiyo AfriSoka tuishi tu kwenye kuwasimamia hivyo na kutafutia club, lakini tunawaendeleza na kuwafundisha life skills za wachezaji wetu ili waweze kuwa professionals kama professional wengine ambao wako duniani. Tumepeleka wachezaji mbalimbali kufanya majaribio nchi mbalimbali, na hii yote katika kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba tunawapatia fursa wachezaji wetu wa Kitanzania kutoka nje ya mipaka ya Tanzania kuweza kucheza mpira wa kulipwa na kuweza kuendelea zaidi na kuweza kusaidia timu yetu ya taifa ya Tanzania. Tulimpeleka mchezaji Jafari Kibaya nchini Sweden kwa ajili ya majaribio, lakini kutokana na masuala ya COVID hakuendelea, alirudi na sasa hivi yuko klabu yake ya Mtibwa toka mwanzo. AfriSoka pia tunaonyesha na masuala ya uuzaji wa vifaa vya michezo, na sasa hivi tuko katika mazungumzo na kampuni mbalimbali ambazo zinataka kushirikiana na sisi katika kuuza vifaa vya michezo hapa nchini, lakini pengine hata kuanzisha makampuni ya kutengeneza vifaa hivyo vya michezo hapa nchini, kwa sababu bado tuna uhitaji huo na tunatakiwa tutengeneze
pia tena kwenye kuendelea na Tanzania Football Summit ambayo inafanyika hapa Hyatt Regency, hoteli ambayo zamani ikijulikana kama The Kilimanjaro, na sasa mada inayojadiliwa ni technology and digital platform in football, na ikiwasilishwa hapa na keynote anaitwa Shilomi Meina ambaye ni founder na CEO wa Football Around Me ya nchini Israel. Kwa hiyo ni mtu wa mada kutoka Israel, na sasa moja kwa moja twende tukamsikilize kwenye mada hii ya technology and digital platform in football.
Rushi, something like that. Novatius is an under 21 player for the Tanzanian national team. We brought him a year ago from Azam, and he was playing for the youth academy of Maccabi Tel Aviv, and now he's part of the first team, training with the first team. He has like a bright future. And someone was asking here about the future of the Tanzanian football. I see you from here. And I have to tell you that, first of all, after this summit, and especially after this summit, that we are going to make a lot of things for the Tanzanian football. And also, with what I see from this guy, and I watched a lot of videos of players from Tanzania, you guys have a bright future, for sure. You have really good players, and let me show a video of him of 1 minute of Novatius Miroshi. Thing. I am a guy that like to execute things, and we said a lot of important stuff here, and we all know here, and we shared it about the potential, tremendous potential of the Tanzanian football, and I hope in development, I'm a software engineer in development, we call it call to actions. So I hope that after we leave this place, when everyone goes home, he will say to himself and will write tasks on his notebook of what do I do tomorrow or today for the Tanzanian football, because it's possible to make progress after this summit. Now to my presentation. Wait a second. What happened to this? Okay. So another short video. You would think that I'm crazy after that. I am. So, see, I have to say I was so happy that you spoke about the third league of England, because what I showed you guys here, first of all, the first video was from a match after 50 days in England. This was my 25th match. I was tired of football. I couldn't even see football anymore. In the first minutes of the game, I went out to drink a tea. I didn't even look at the game. It was Arsenal versus Liverpool. Because of the You Will Never Walk Alone song in Liverpool, I decided to finish my trip in Liverpool. And when I was out, there was goal after goal after goal, so I decided to go back in. And what you saw over there is I'm sitting at the COP, the Ultras of Liverpool. And this was Origi that scored 5-5 at the last minute of my trip between Liverpool and Arsenal. The second thing that you have seen is Tranmere, and Sia spoke about it. In Liverpool, there is Liverpool and Everton, and there is Tranmere, which is a very small team, very, very small team with huge clubs beside them, 30 minutes from them. And they still have community, they still have a very, very, very organized club with short amount of budget, and they make it, because it's all about organization, and this is what I'm going to show. Besides that, before I'm going into tech, so as you understood, I'm crazy about football. I'm a football traveler. I'm traveling around the world. I've been to more than 50 countries for football. I've been to South Africa to see Kaizer Chiefs, and I've been to Tanzania for football matches, and I've been to Boca River, or Fenerbahce, Galatasaray, Olympiacos, Panathinaikos, PSG versus Auxerre. Everything you can imagine. I can run through hundreds of matches. We can speak about it later. Together with that, I'm working with, I have to mention them, I'm working with a non-profitable organization. The name of this organization is Help Up. It's important for me to mention them because Help Up sends 500 Israelis this summer to Tanzania, and they send a lot of delegations to developing countries in order to renovate schools, to give some medical projects, and they do something nice because together with me we provide a lot of equipments and jerseys and shirts and everything to football teams in Africa. And I want to show you one more video of them, and then we will go into the tech. As you can see, they renovated the school. They send delegations of 35 to 40 people in each delegation. They send teachers, they send football players sometimes. They really like to help the community, and together with me, you will see we have built in Himomoshi 2 months ago, we have built 2 pitches for the children with really low budget. We collected donations of $5,000 from Israelis, and we have made it and make smile on the children, you know. My wife. Okay, so let's get into the tech. So beside me traveling around the world and donating and all of this stuff, because I love football and crazy about football, I'm also a software engineer. I'm a software engineer, and I was working for very big companies along the years. Like, I have 8 years of experience after my studies. I was working for Fiverr, if you all know, it's a very famous company, and I was working in the fintech, and I was working for cyber companies. From the UI side, I am a front-end developer. I am specialist in user interface and user experience in developing. 5 years ago, I've met a guy, his name is Patrick Van Leeuwen. After I've made a UEFA coaching course, a UEFA B coaching course, someone introduced me to him and told him that I'm a tech guy that also loves football. And since then, I was a scout 2 years of the youth academy of Maccabi Tel Aviv. I'm also helping them to bring players nowadays. And we are working together. He's my partner in my business that you will see. Patrick have tremendous experience in terms of youth academies and developing players. He was 7 years the head of the football academy of Feyenoord, 7 years of the head of the football academy, youth academy of Shakhtar Donetsk, which is a really famous team in Europe, plays in the Champions League constantly. He was also in Karyat in Kazakhstan, and he was also 4 years the head of the youth academy of Maccabi Tel Aviv, and now he is the head coach of Maccabi Tel Aviv, and he is my professional advisor. And together, me and him, we have built a software. He with his experience in football, and I came with my experience in football and software development. Another thing that I didn't mention, that in my travels around the world, I've been to many, many academies. I was hosted by Liverpool in the Liverpool Academy, in Wimbledon, and I was also here in Tanzania. I saw some academies, and also in Israel. So I have a lot of experience in watching academies from top to bottom, and this is where my software is coming to help. So together with Patrick, we have built something that is called easycoach.club. My company name is Football Around Me, but we have made a software named EasyCoach. I will read it. Our mission is that any football player, coach, or club around the world will have access to professional, modern football training. Now, I want to say again about the third league teams in England. What I realized, that Liverpool and Manchester, okay, we are not aiming and we are not here to be equal to Liverpool and Manchester. And they pay a lot to developers, they have their own equipments. We are here to get the feature and the knowledge of the biggest. And the way the small teams in England are working is very nice, because with low budget and volunteers, and I will show it, they achieve a lot in technology. And this is what we are coming to do. We are coming to help with the software for small and medium football teams and individual coaches, you know, in Himo, for example, that doesn't have a technical manager, to get the knowledge, to get the education, because then you develop players. Players become better because of their coaches. So I've spoken about what we do. I have the software to plan, manage, and track football trainings, to evaluate players. Again, we are here to help the coaches to get education. I can tell you that the aim of the software is to organize club, academy, and associations. Also, we aim to assist club to organize one philosophy for all of the club. You know, I've seen clubs, and you guys know, that has 12, 20 coaches along the ages. Everyone has his own philosophy. He teaches whatever he wants. And we are here in an easy way to make the things easy to the guys, and also the philosophy to spread around to be the same philosophy. And again, it helps the coaches, it helps to develop the coaches in terms of education all around the country, and also it can help the develop of the players. Again, this is why we are here, to make the players better. So I've written some things about, a few things about my software, so it is really dynamic. So we are not coming as software developer and software engineer in every field. I'm coming to be seamless, I call it. I'm coming not to interfere in the flow of work of anyone. So any evaluation and everything is dynamic to the needs of the associations or the need of the club. Besides that, we made it easy to use. For example, you will see later, I have a surprise for you. I will tell you the surprise. We have translated my platform to Swahili. The idea is to make the platform easy to use to everyone, and in the language which we realize that, you know, the lower level of the coaches, they don't speak another language. So we need to touch them within their own language. Besides that, it is a very lean software where it is easy to use. I've said it. And we are here to support individual coaches. I've mentioned it. Individual coaches that doesn't have tech manager that can help them to educate them and to get the way of playing information, drills information. We are here to provide everyone in every place the data that he needs and the data that Liverpool or Manchester has. So I took as an example to show you, there is a club I'm working with in my company. They work with my software, and the name of the club is Hapoel Tel Aviv. In terms of football fans, they have a huge community in Israel. It's a very nice club which have a nice ideology behind it, everyone equal, and everyone plays together, no matter, you know, we are from the Middle East and you all heard stories about us. Everyone is playing together, football for everyone, peace, and it's a really nice club in terms of community. And the nice thing that I want to show you, and relevant to the Tanzanian football and the football in Africa as well, is that they make everything with low budget. It is not a rich team. They play in the first league, but they have a lot of problems along the years with owners. Owners leaves and comes, and they still keep the same level and high quality of tech. The way they do it, there is a guy, and this is something I advise you. Also, by the way, sorry that I call you all the time, but in terms of football to women, you have talked about budgets and about bringing sponsors, but before that, one thing that we do in Hapoel Tel Aviv, we are working with volunteers. Because once you educate the volunteers, first of all, they get a job opportunity for the future. They do what they love, they do it from the heart, and you grow and grow your product. And then you come to sponsor and you are like, okay, I have a nice working product, come and sponsor it, we will pay them salary or something. But in order to make it in Hapoel Tel Aviv, the same as in the women field, Chen Sol, which I wrote about him here, is a UEFA A certificate. He was a coach for 7 years. He's an analyst. He's one of the best lecturers, analysts in Israel. He's the only one that gets a salary in Hapoel Tel Aviv out of the analyst department. The rest are volunteers. Look, every team has its base, the fans. The fan, I think most of the fans are dreaming to work in their teams. And the way we compensate, they compensate, the analysts is first of all engagement with players. Second, of course, Chen is teaching them everything. They just get something that costs a lot of money for nothing. They just get all the knowledge and education. And also they are involved, they are really involved within the club they support, which is really important. They come with the heart, and heart, I think, I don't know, costs more than money. So this is the structure of the analyst department. As you can see, there is Chen. Below him, there are 2 analysts for the, let's say, the big teams of the youth system, which is the U19 in Israel and the U18. From U19 in Israel, you go to the adult team. And then also to this internship guys, or volunteers, there is also a responsibility above other analysts that serves the club for the low teams, for the youngest team, sorry. So if we talk about the mission, what do we want to achieve from an analyst department? The things are very obvious and simple. I will name them. We want to video and analyze matches. We want to video and analyze trainings. We want to video and analyze opponent. We want to scout players of other teams, following loaned players that we are loaning, and also to educate players before matches. Pre-match presentations, key moments on the field, we want to educate the players. So these are the 6 things that the analyst department is getting into within the club, which are very important things. Now I want to tell you something, I've written it in the next presentations. There are researchers that shows that coaches do not remember more than 50% of the actions in the match. So this is where the analysts and all of this tech coming to close this gap. Okay, now what I want to show you now is that, you know, as small clubs or players that didn't grow in Manchester and Liverpool again, we tend to think that we cannot achieve it. We cannot close this gap with technology because we don't have the budget. So let me tell you one thing, I don't have any interest. I have to tell you, I don't work with any one of these companies. It's very important for me to tell you. But I took from Hapoel Tel Aviv, from Chen, from the analyst, I took the budgets in order to understand how much they invested with this low budget in order to make this professional department. So pitch cameras, to take all of the trainings of the players and to record them, and to get all the actions. There are applications that mark the actions on the field. Whenever there is an action, the coach or whoever analyst click on an action and saves it for the end of the game. It costs them $1,500 per camera in a pitch for one-time investment for the next 2 years. This is what it cost. And they pay $200 per month just for the application. Video editing software to edit. I will show you videos to be professional, free. Analyst software, free. Drones, $650. Video cameras, $350 for one. Osmo Pocket is like 4K, it's amazing. 3 computers for the analysts to use. Some of them use the same computer. And one-time investment, as I told you, between $6,000 to $8,000. This is what they invested. I'm not talking here, I'm not selling my application now. I'm not talking about the prices. This is what they achieve with all of this stuff. What is Playform, for example? Playform is a platform, Israeli platform, to analyze videos of individual trainings of players. If a coach sends after training session a video to a player, he can analyze the video of the player by automation with this software. Instat, giving stats about games and matches. Metrica Sport is the software to analyze, and as you can see, drone and the pitch camera. So this is the nice thing that they achieve out of it. This is an 8 versus 6 drill. We mark the players, we see the organization, we see how they are aligned. This is a build-up. We show how, this is where we teach the children how to build up. And you see, together with the technology, we are using it. There is a drone, there is a software, and that's it, the simplest. Besides that, we are getting from the technologies, of course, you can pay more and get more softwares and get Instat and get a lot more GPSs and stuff. But again, as I said, the coach doesn't remember, and here we are helping the coach to see accuracy in passing or much more information on accurate kicks and stuff. This is for the adult and the youth team that we are using. So I'm coming to a point that, okay, we collect a lot of data. I go back to my first stories that I'm saying, okay, I've been to a lot of academies. I can tell you another research. 2,300 teams in the world are top flight teams. Out of them, 200 teams, maybe less, holds the money. There are more than 100,000 teams and academies around the world that plays football. Out of these 2,300 top flight teams, there are only 500 professionals, maybe 1,000. This one, I don't know the accurate number. Now, if we go to the 100,000 teams, I've seen these academies. They write on papers. They don't have a constantly work. They don't spread the philosophy. They don't save data from year to year in order to develop players year after year continuously with the same philosophy. And it's all a mess. Coaches move from one club to another, nothing is getting saved in the club, that's it. So I've made this simple solution. All of the data that you have seen in this presentation, I gather in one software, which is one software, in the Easy Coach software. So as you can see now on the video, you can see that there is a video of what we are taking in the training session. There is an image that describes the coach how to make the video. This is a drill that we show the coaches. Explanation in Hebrew, of course, in every language they speak Hebrew, so they wrote it in Hebrew about the training session. And this is the panel of the coach. So what is my software doing? Easy Coach software. So first of all, I have to say there are other softwares in the world, whatever you choose. We are having a manager admin panel, a coach view, and a player view, okay? The manager is like the big brother. He can see all the training session of all of the coaches. He can also force the coaches to choose from the drills library of the association or of the club. He can force the coaches to choose the relevant drills for the specific part of the training. For example, if it's warm-up, if you are the coach of under 16, you will have a library especially for you for under 16 for warm-up. And this is how the manager can force the manager work hard. I work hard when I set up the software. But the coaches, they get whatever they get, specifically to their profession. So, I want to show you one more thing before I finish. Wait a second. Whoa, the resolution here is not the best. Let me. So, before I start, there is someone I want to say thank you to. There is a guy here that is taking my video here. His name is Rafael. Rafael is a Tanzanian guy. He's from here. When I was here 2 months ago, I made an interview with him, and he's the developer, one of the developers of this stuff. So thank you, Rafael. So all of this view is the one who made it. So I'm going to show you now. This is a dashboard of a coach. Just a second. Okay, leave it, because it's on the screen. This is the dashboard of a coach. So the dashboard of a coach has the next session, next matches, previous session reports that I will show you. Also the club education or the association education, whatever the club or the manager decide to deliver to the coach about nutrition, about trainings. The players list of the coach, of course. The latest drills that the club did for the coaches, also the coach club training drill. Again, what I'm saying is that the software is easy to use. It's very lean and easy to use for the club, for the coaches, sorry. So this is all of Hapoel Beersheva, which is another club I'm working with in Israel. They uploaded 350 drills to the system. And this is the library that every coach of this club has. It's a very big club in Israel. And you can see that every drill has like the text about the drill, the target, the rules, the description, and also explanation about every drill. Besides that, every coach has its own library. He can create his own drill. Very simple, again, all is simple, very simple drawer in order to help the coach. He can create his own players within the clubs. By the way, if a player is from under 15 and play with the under 16 because he is good, you can promote him to your team and not be his direct coach. And for every player, there is a player card, where he play on the pitch, all of the details of the player, and all of the stats for all of the year. I want to show you here, this is nice. Again, the resolution. So this is, for example, all the statistics where I showed you the data, where we gather it, we bring it here, from the cameras, from the GPSs, from the subjective data, which is the data that the coach fills in the reports. We put it all here in the card for the coach. And also, every club has its own club reports, and club reports is dynamic for every club, evaluation of players, for example, beep test, if you know, guys, stamina test for the players. Every evaluation of the players is filling here. My exercises, again, coach fill his own exercises. For example, the coach in Hapoel Beersheva. The nice thing, again, I told you, these are the parts of the training. When he come to choose, he choose out of the libraries of the club. He forced to be chosen this library. Internet, please. Oh. So, this is the parts of the trainings. Besides that, there are the players. Again, it's in Hebrew because it's in Israel. These are the players that are coming to the training. Of course, we have stats of who is coming, who is not. And there is the share button, which we can share the training to the players before they come to sessions. Now, players doesn't have a computer in most of the places. They have phones. So it is from the player view, which I will not show now because we don't have time, they can see all of the trainings. If it is shared with them, they can see it before the training starts. Also, all of the players, if they are selected, they can fill a form, a well-being form before the training, which says how do they feel physically and how, if they come or not, and free text to the coach. Last thing that I'm going to show you from the coach side is the match. Again, every club is different, it's dynamic. For example, Hapoel Tel Aviv, this is what the coach feels before the match, who is in the squad, who is out. These are the spaces where the coach can feel, and this is what Hapoel Tel Aviv decided to feel by the manager of Hapoel Tel Aviv about the match. And also there is a data that the coach feels about the player after every match. What does he think about the players? Two more things and we are done. So this is the manager of Hapoel Beersheva. So I showed you coach. The manager see the latest training drill of every training session of every coach, latest match report of every coach. He can mark the stars of the academy in order to train them and to follow the stars of the academy. These are the players that he marked from other coaches. And he can see what are the club education that he have uploaded to the coaches. So if we talk about club education, he is uploading club education to the coaches, then the coaches come in and they can see club education that the club uploaded for them. So we can see every coach, this is what I showed you, but you can go into every coach in the academy. And in the calendar, which is a nice thing, you can see all of the actions of all of the coaches in one place. This is the calendar of this week of Hapoel Beersheva. These are all the trainings of all of the coaches. Once he clicks, he sees what is going on in the training. He can also see the report of this training. Besides that, I want to show you the calendar of the coach, and that's it. So the coach has his own calendar, and the coach can see every day, this is the sessions that he uploaded for this week. This is what he does in brief, in experts. This is what he does every day, okay? Now, one of the things in the software is that if a coach from the under 16 of the association or of the club choose to add a session for this day, we force him to have the training build-up that the manager decided for him to have for his age at this day. To the individual coaches, as you can see, it's in Swahili, thanks to Rafael. To the individual coaches, we provide the data that, again, now I showed you a club with a technical manager. To the individual coaches, we provide the data of way of playing, how to build up a game. We provide data of drills, training drills, and it's all the data of Patrick that provides to these coaches. Up. So as I said, we are here to assist clubs and academies and coaches and associations to organize their things. Of course, all of it is to create better players. All the things we are doing, all the talks that we are talking is to create better players, structurize the development step by step together with the knowledge of Patrick, and sharing philosophy and sharing information. And this is from, let's say, my ideology. This is my mission, let's say, as a football lover, as someone that traveling around the world, is to deliver the accessibility of the top to every coach around the world. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Mzungumzaji wa teknolojia ni digital platform in football, na hiyo ilikuwa ni kuhusiana na mada hiyo ya habari na teknolojia katika mpira wa miguu. Watu wakaamba kidogo wajinyoshe mwili alafu wakae chini. Lakini sasa ni zamu ya moderator Andrew Oriada ambaye ni ofisa wa CAF pamoja na Sekafa kutoka Uganda. Na sasa ni muda wa majadiliano kwenye panel. Kwa hiyo tumwachie sasa Andrew Oriada ambaye ndo ataendelesha mjadala huu.
Oriada, my name's again. I'm your moderator. I come from Uganda. I'm proud to be Ugandan. I've been in the media for quite a while. I'm a Sekafa media manager, CAF media officer. I'm also deputy editor-in-chief for a news organization in Uganda that is donor funded. We need the donors to keep supporting many of our institutions in Africa, unfortunately. But I love sports, I love football. I'm a former national champion of badminton in my country, and at I think 1995, I was number 7 in Africa, and I was, I think, about 888 in the world in badminton. So sport is basically part of me. My first 2 kids are national team swimmers. So when I sit here, it's not just about football. It's basically, you know, sport is, it's passion. Right? Something that
Okay, ndo hiyo ilikuwa topic ya mwisho kwa siku yetu ya pili, ambayo tulikuwa na mada mbalimbali. Tulikuwa na topic ile ya stadium management, lakini pia tulikuwa na mada nyingine ya football marketing and sponsorship. Lakini pia tulikuwa na mada nyingine ambayo ilifanyika ya youth and women football siku ya jana. Lakini pia tulikuwa na mada ambayo iliwasilishwa na Kibirige CB Kalule intermediary services. Na hapa tumemalizia na hii ya technology and digital platform in football. Na kwa siku zote mbili, kwa niaba wengine wote walioshiriki, mimi ni Pasco Kabombe. Mpaka wakati mwingine, endelea kutazama Azam Sports.
Listen to what's happening. So I stood by the corner, listened to the young man speak with a lot of confidence, and I'm like, wow, okay, I think there is a great idea here. The rest is history. I'm here now today. Thanks again. You know, when we talk about technology, unfortunately, many of the people around our region, East and Central Africa, when you bring technology, then people will start getting sleepy. Oh, technology. But where football is moving now, technology is very key. It's very key because football is moving at a very fast rate that it's a bit hard for some of these areas where we are to get, you know. So we need to embrace some of these things that are coming on board. You might start the small way. When you talk about technology, some clubs might think, wow, that's a lot of money. Yes, you might invest $5,000, might be a lot of money for some clubs, but eventually what you achieve out of it, in the long run, pays off. Because like he said, most coaches, when you ask them, they don't remember 50% of what has happened on the pitch. But with this kind of technology, it helps them to keep abreast with what is happening around and also develop the players better, you know, and get to know their players better. In front of us here, among the panelists, we have Robert. I think he's Robert. The last time I saw you a few months ago, you were a little smaller than that, but I think you're eating a lot of cuckoo. I don't know what's happening. But it's okay if it makes you happy. That's, we have Rabi. He's a content creator for one of the big clubs here. I know it's a huge club. Any of the people who are associated with that club, Simba SC, they'll work with their heads high up there. But many clubs are looking at you now, especially young Africans, so don't expect things similar next season. Eh? Then we have Sadiq. Happy to see you here. We have had what the keynote speaker has just said, talked a lot about technology, talked a lot about tracking players using, he calls it a simple app, let me put it that way, that he's put up that will help most of these clubs, not only clubs, but even national teams. In our region, for example, the Sekafa region, I don't know so many clubs or even national teams that are putting this to use. I don't know. I know people fear technology, but we need to embrace some of these things. Robert, what's your take? Technology, you see, we're talking about technology.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert, and I'm director of a very small company called Extreme World Sports 14. It's a company which is divided into two parts. That's why we have a very long name. Extreme deals with marketing and corporate people, and World Sports 14 deals with content only on sports. So World Sports 14, when you come with, we are dealing with betting company and other clubs. But when you come as a Extreme, we are dealing with corporate people. And I don't see him around here. Imani Kajula is actually one of my very, very good guy. He trained me maybe 30% of all I know in this field in sports and in marketing. Let me jump straight to what I'm supposed to do, technology and digital platform in football. And my tech is I will speak my experience. I actually used to work for Simba. As I said, I actually am the one who created Simba platform. I take this as one of the very good things that I have done in this world. And when we created those platform, one of the things we did and one of the goals we had, it is to help Simba getting out from the struggle of paying the salary. Simba now is relaxing. There is a more deuteraire. But back in then, even paying salary for players was a big issue. So I promised my boss, Himani, that if I run this platform for only 2 years, I can pay Simba's salary. Back in then, there were no Facebook, no Instagram, no Twitter, no YouTube for Simba. And just 1 year, I started an application, it's called Simba app. And that Simba app, I don't know where it is right now because I'm no longer working at EHE. So what I want to say is most of these clubs and most of the institutions, they have only organization goal, but they don't have a digital goal. And just because they don't have a digital goal, which help them enhance what exactly they want to become in the next 2 to 3 years, they take this digital platform and technology just like posting. So they only think about Instagram is about posting. Facebook is about posting. So they fail to see that they can even create a revenue out of that. Let me give you an example, very simple one. If you take a club like Simba now, right? Simba is a very big club. Just Instagram, I think it's #1, right, Rabbi? It's #1 in Africa, right? In East and Central. It's #1 in East and Central. Just that number, can you do the data mining from that number? Because if you are going to a sponsor, I heard the last session, if you are going to a sponsor or if you are going to a partner, can you tell me what are these number being defined to my goals? You understand? So that's what most of the company, most of the club, they fail to understand. They only take this platform as just a means to disseminate information, and not as also a means to create a revenue. And if you need to create a revenue out of this platform, you also need to understand your customer, your fan base. You need to understand them exactly. What do they like? What do they do? At what time? For example, let me give you an example. There's an Azam TV, right? And the Azam TV is doing a massive job. And so you ask yourself, what does Azam Sports Club Instagram does? It only shows us what we already seen on TV. It will show us the players are doing the warm-up. It will show us maybe the match. You understand? But how can I put money if what you are showing me, it is exactly as Azam TV is showing us? I can put money if you are coming with exclusivity. You understand? So there is what I see that this club and this institution, what they lack is digital goals. You have to have your own strategy on the digital. And most of the club, what they tend to do is just hire 1 to 2 person, like, hey, you will be here as our content guy, so be here, have the camera, take the picture, and post. That's it. But how can you create money if that guy doesn't understand business? You understand? There is need to be correlation between the guy who is creating the content and how that content can become a source of revenue. You understand? So what I'm saying is this club and this institution, they have to have something we call digital goals. What are these platforms giving you rather than just posting and have those content? You understand? They need, because if you're in a Champions League and your Instagram doesn't give you money, and then what's it for? It doesn't make sense. You understand? Yeah. So that's my type. I want these clubs and this institution to have something we call digital goals. That's my very, very good song.
Wow, Robert, if something is not getting you money, why do you have it? Big question you're asking. Okay, let's move to the digital content creator, Simba. By the floor is yours. Creators of content are normally very wise people, you know. So let's listen to you. Thank you.
Once again, I would like to thank you, Mr. Robert. Robert and the EAG is the one who established our social media account. Our social media account, I think it's 2015 through EAG, and they has done the big job. And Simba, we really appreciate what they did for Simba. After them, I'm the one who lead the social media account. I joined Simba after Mo Dewji came to Simba to invest. His vision is to help the club to, first, the team to win the trophies, but second, the social media to do better and to, not only in Tanzania, East and Central Africa, even in Africa. And for example, in 2020, we're the first club for growth on Instagram, #1 in the world. So that is huge for the club, and we are very happy for that. To come to the technology, I think for the club, my brother Shiromi shows us how the team can use technology to get a report of the players. And for example, for Simba, we are using Instat. So when you want to compete with big club in Africa, for example, Al Ahly, you need to invest. So for us, we already start to use Instat to get report of every match we play, and that's it helps us to maybe to reach in quarterfinal of Champions League. In social media, when I joined the social media team, first I helped the club to verify their social media account. And on that time, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, we had, I think, 800 followers. And now we have almost 4 million followers. So my boss, who is a board chairman, Mr. Mo, he bought equipment to help us to do our job. Also, we get support from our club. And you know, Simba to success in social media is because we know what our fans, they want to see. And that's, it's helped us a lot. And now we are here we are. So regarding to create revenue for the club, for example, our contract with the SportPesa, one of our obligations, they use our social media. And I think it's not only SportPesa, almost all sponsors that were working with Simba, they use our social media. So you can see, in direct, social media is one of source of income for the club, because when the sponsors come to the club to put their money, they want to use our social media. For example, when we play in Champions League, maybe when we played against Al Ahly, our impressions to our social media will reach 50 million people who visit our page. So it's a huge number, you can see. So for us, inside, we know that we have to do better and to use our social media to create more money. And we have we have some plans that we are working on right now, and I'm sure maybe after a few months, I think other plan, maybe next week, in 2 weeks from now, we plan to introduce our new players. So we have some plan what to do. I think our fans will see what we are going to do very soon, but for Simba, technology is very important, and we use it, and I'm sure that we have many plans that will help us to create more money in future. And for me, as a digital content creator, I advise other clubs to use technology because it will help them, and not only for maybe for players to use instant, also for their social media, because in Tanzania, many clubs, they don't know how to use social media. They used to post the club news, but not for business, to speak with sponsors and to see how they can work with them through the social media. For example, for Simba, we are number 6 in Africa for followers, and it's help us. When we want to talk with the sponsors, it's easy to listen us to compare with other clubs because we have big number to compare with others. So for me, that.
Simba. Rabbi, thank you. Thanks a lot for the contribution. As a content creator, I don't know how much you're doing for Simba outside Tanzania for that word Simba to spread out there. Maybe it's something that you need to look up, and because it's a big team, it's getting bigger and bigger. Before you know it will explode in your face, so you need to. Sadiq, the floor is yours.
Yes, my name is Sadiq. I'm a Chief Technology Officer of a company called WazoHub. Unfortunately or fortunately, I think I would also start with Simba connection. So back in 2009, a few weeks after I graduated from university, we had our first attempt to build a digital platform of some sort for a football club in Tanzania. And we were privileged to meet with the then chairman of Simba, Hassan Dalali. It was me and my friend, so we tried to pitch a website, we had our draft proposal, etc. So the chairman said, he gave us a story like, okay, I'm a chairman of Simba, and this same week, I have my player who has gone for a trial in Sweden, Henry Joseph, for those who will know Henry Joseph. And he said, me as a chairman was not aware that my player was going for a trial in Sweden. You're coming here, you want to develop a digital platform, website, etc., which you're telling me will have to be managed, password, etc. Who is going to manage that password? So that was the chairman telling us, what you see outside and what we have inside could be completely different, and your digital thinking might not work. Because there are certain things even me as a chairman is not fully aware of. So the project ended just there with the first meeting. I'm fortunate that this year, after 11 years from that first experience, we managed to launch our first digital platform with the other big club in the country, Yanga, which included the website, mobile app, and the USSD application. And during that 11-year period, we learned a lot from that very first experience. So I think there's a lot that we need to learn when it comes to digital transformation for these football clubs. So the first thing is, those 10 years, it was a good experience to understand the growth of what we saw as the main pillars in football. So you have your administration part, the football part, the investment part, marketing, publicity, and of course the research, data and analytics. Publicity always is going up. When you talk of football in Tanzania, everyone is aware. Simba and Yanga, there are huge events. The nation basically stops, etc. The football investment, now you have Azam pumping in the money, SportPesa, etc. But when it comes to data and analytics, the growth is not as good as these other pillars. And that has been the case for the past 10 years. So in our case, we try to see how best we can exploit and use technologies. So our first attempt was to build what we called funds-focused platforms. And that is what we launched with Yanga earlier this year. So basically with the funds-focused platforms, our focus areas were three things. So number one, we want to address the issue of registration. So if you go to Yanga, you go to Simba, KMC, etc., they will tell you we have followers, we have supporters. But if you want numbers of these followers and supporters, they will struggle to give you the numbers. So we thought about, okay, let's address the issue of registration. So things like mobile application, etc., give these clubs initial number of followers, their location, demographic, age range, etc. So you know, it might not be 100%, but you have an idea in terms of percentages. Like, okay, I have 100,000 people registered, 10% are women. So possibly in the whole country, I have 10% coverage when it comes to women. So when you go to a bank, etc., you can say that within using the number that you have. So that was one focus area that we used to develop the platform. But the other second one was engagement. Of course, from the pillars, publicity is the main thing. So we also built the platform around engagement. So you'll go on the app where fans can comment on the news. They can create their own groups, similar to what WhatsApp have. They chat, they raise their own topics because they want to talk about their team. So engagement was crucial. And the third pillar that drove our model when it comes to development of this solution was revenue generation, because that was one challenge. When you go to these clubs, they struggle for money. Of course, now we have all these sponsors coming up, but the 10 years experience that we've had showed us that there's a struggle when it comes to revenue. So we wanted to build these apps to add as a revenue stream. And we are happy that as a business, as a proof of concept, that has worked. So with Yanga, for example, we developed the app and we introduced a subscription fee. So they are paying, fans are paying 2,000 Tanzanian shillings to have a monthly subscription, exclusive content from the club, the news, etc. And they're actually paying for that. We have a good number of people paying for that. So with the club now, you're not just giving them a tool to post news, you're not just giving technology, but you're giving them a new revenue stream. And the thinking was very simple. We are looking at these digital tools as a marketplace, like what my earlier comment. So we have given you registration. Now you have 100,000 people registered. They are engaged. You have direct revenue. So we tried a number of things on the app. For example, subscription was one, but there was a feature we called the Plaza where fans can buy jersey, and we had a partner who was doing delivery. So you buy a jersey on the app, you get your jersey delivered in Kigoma, where the club maybe doesn't have a place where fans can go and buy their jersey, etc. So that was another revenue aspect. But we wanted to go further now to use this. We're looking at these digital platforms as marketplace in the sense that when you set up a meeting with a bank or insurance company, you can tell them in terms of the number. There was an example that was given earlier about life insurance, etc. So you're telling them, if you come partner with us as a life insurance partner, we have these subscribers who are paying 2,000 shillings every month. And at the moment, for the past 6 years, the number has not gone maybe below 2,000. So they have a clear idea of potentially how many people are willing to pay how much for the subscription, etc., and how they can take a step further. So I think that was, for us, was the crucial part. And the model that we used to make it simple for the clubs and other partners that we have was revenue share, because these clubs, they are looking for money. So if you go there and you're telling them, pay us 10 million to develop the digital platform for you, they won't pay because they are also looking for money. So what we did, or the approach that we usually use, is revenue share. So we give you everything, we'll develop everything for you. As you start making money, we'll take maybe 10%. So that's basically, it's win-win. You're not investing. We want you to use the platform to develop, to share news, the news that you already have. Whether you put it on the app or not, this news you already have. For you, when the chairman speaks, it's news. When your players do the exercise, the practice session, it's news. So you're basically doing what you're doing routinely, but now you're sharing it in a way that allows you to make money. So we thought that was a model that works. And of course, with the example that I use, so that gave us a lesson that it's not just about technology, it's about how do you get these clubs to engage? They don't have the money. Can you give them a business model that works for them? So revenue share has worked for them. So that is what we have done. And now we are looking at the next phase of the evolution based on what we have learned, the data and analytics aspect. So at the moment, the platform that we have, they are focusing on news. So it's basically news, like what you just said. When you go to social media, it's news. But we have these other pillars that we have. The administration part of football. You have your coaches, like what the earlier presenter did. Where are they getting this content? So you can just have a match shown by Azam, etc. But we have compilation of clips on goal kicks, etc., that coaches can use. So our next evolution when it comes to digital transformation, we are trying to look at how can we build multimedia data warehouses, where as a football administrator, as an academy administrator, as a club coach doing some operations, as a fan as well. Because even as a fan, I can go, I want to see headed goals in Tanzania, and I have an app that can quickly filter, I just want to enjoy the headed goals. But that comes from the data warehouse that has this multimedia content. So I think there's a lot that can be done. We have done some, so we have learned a lot during that time. But there's still some gaps when it comes to analysis and coverage going beyond the traditional ways of football where we are only focusing on fans and clubs, but we have now academies, we have administrators, we have the marketing teams, etc. So do we have the platforms, do we have the data warehouses that all these different stakeholders can use and see how best they can take advantage? So I think for us, that is what we have tried to do, and at least we are glad that as a proof of concept, we can say we have a club that has made some money out of the digital tools outside the traditional ones, YouTube, Instagram, etc. And I think it's an opportunity that, as a Tanzania football, other teams or other institutions can really take advantage on. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadiq. Right from the time we started yesterday, there's something that is key around all the discussions. That's with football. You need to learn to be patient. Whether it's playing the football, getting the goals come after some sort of build-ups before you get the goals. Technology and digital platform, yes, you can build them, but I also believe that you need to create the profile. First build the profile before you get to start generating income. Yes, it's good to have the strategy, like you say. Have a strategy, don't just wake up and start building things from without a strategy. Where do you want to move to? Yeah, but work on building the profile. And that is something that many clubs don't sit down and think about, because you just don't, it's not just about sitting down and you dream about something. Yes, it's good to dream, but have a focus, have a clear path that you want to take. Yes, MC, are you okay? Okay, Okay, I thought you were dozing, but it's okay. I open the floor for contributions. Yes, you walk right to the mic and you introduce yourself. And
yeah.
Technology is a problem?
No, it's good. It's good. I just had to operate it. Okay, so once again, my name is Shazada Wali. I'm a lawyer by profession. I practice in Tanzania. I have a couple of questions. I'm a very big fan of technology, and as a lawyer, I also appreciate artificial intelligence when it comes to technology in the legal sector. But from the conversations that have been going on, I'm a bit curious on the level of technology that's been discussed today. So I have a question for Mr. Shlomi there. You've been around Tanzania and you've met academies, and I believe you've met a lot of leaders in football. What are your recommendations to the Tanzanian Football Federation when it comes to the use of technology in not only sort of creating training programs and so on, but tracking player progress in terms of their abilities and their skills and how they are growing in terms of their abilities by using artificial intelligence and other softwares that could tell us this player is now developing well and he will be, in the next 3 years, he will be at this particular level. So what will be your recommendations? My question to, I'm sorry, I didn't get the name of the content creator for Simba, but Mr. Robert there mentioned that he really helped to develop a Simba app. And we saw a gentleman there saying that they created the Yanga app and it's already generating a lot of income. So what was the reason for not taking the Simba app forward? Unfortunately, I'm also asking this as a Simba fan. So now I'm very curious to understand that why wasn't this app taken forward, and what was the pros and cons of it until you decided to probably not go forward with it? Because a lot of your discussions were only talking about social media and sort of digital marketing, but none was actually touching upon how Simba, as a football team, is using technology to actually enhance player abilities, and probably also how does your technology in Simba contribute towards your academy and your youth? I believe Simba has a youth academy and women's academy. How is a big team like Simba not using technology to help player growth and abilities? My last question to the technology creator there, and I believe he's done a very good job with Yanga in terms of the app. My question to you is, what is your recommendation as a Tanzanian developer towards helping the other smaller clubs now? Now that you've experienced with Yanga that you could do 1, 2, 3, help them build up their app, come up with subscribers, sort of make money for them. What about the younger and smaller teams? What would you say that we as a country do, or as developers do, to sort of help these younger, smaller teams also grow and learn more about technology? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Since this is technology, we shall take one question at a time. Yeah, let me get Xiaomi to start it off.
Okay, so I guess you don't want to sleep today, because if I start with my recommendations, we will not go out. I will try to make it short. Look, I've been here around and I've met a lot of important people here in the football field, and I'm not going to mention the names, but I've met a lot of them. There are two things that I've written here during the talk that we are all sharing. We are talking about data. And you are speaking about intelligence, and you are speaking about a lot of things that are few steps forward. In my software and also other softwares, the idea is first of all to collect subjective data. It means to collect the data from the coaches, to collect the names of the players from each coach, to deliver education and drills and way of playing to the coaches all over the country. This is something that is missing. From what I understand as a foreigner, as someone that comes from abroad, a lot of things are concentrated in Dar es Salaam. When you go out of Dar es Salaam, coaches, everyone loves football. This country, there is no doubt between all of the guys here, this country has a passion to football that you don't see in other countries. Nothing is written, there is no data. The education is not spread around the country, and it can be easily spread around the country. It's just a matter of implementation and understanding, okay, we are doing it, and this is one of the problems with Tanzania from my point of view. The idea of saying, we are doing it now, not, okay, we are talking about it, as I said in the summit. Now we are sharing one thing, which is the data. And you guys have to understand, and I guess the some understand here, how important is data. You know, I'll tell you a story. Last one. I tried to bring I really loved players here. I watched few games of few teams here, and I tried behind the scene to bring players to Israel. I went to a lot of agents in Israel. You have to understand, all of them are good friends of mine because I was a scout. Everyone knows me. I went to all of them. The answer of each one of them is, I don't have enough data. Stop sending me videos of goals. I don't care about videos of goals, even of the striker. I care about the match. I care about statistics. I care about data. And when you want to be, we are looking at Ghana or Ivory Coast, or we are looking at Nigeria, they export players in tremendous amount. There is data over there. And the reason that Tanzania doesn't release players, and this is the second thing that I want to say, we are talking all of the conversations here about profit. We are looking at the end of these technologies and everything, we are talking about money. And in order for the country to make money, in order for the teams to make money, they need to sell players. And in order to sell players, you need data. No one knows about the Tanzanian players, and I can tell you that if I can give you some names of players here. There are many good players that I have seen in this league that can play in second or first leagues in Europe. Not in the top leagues now, but start in the lower leagues and then go up. And no one can take them because there is no data. And I think also from the media side, that the Tanzanian football, you know, because before I came here and I saw everything, I didn't even know about Simba and Yanga. And then you realize within the country how huge or big that are these two clubs, even that it seems here that everyone fan of Simba, I don't understand it. So I'll say, someone told me to say I'm Wananchi, something like that. No, I'm not getting into it, I don't want to. So guys, it's all about data, and if you're asking again, what is missing here is, first of all, you know, and this is what I show about my software, step by step. Don't run into artificial intelligence. I've learned it in my 5th year in my studies as a software engineer. Start from writing the things. Start from using the tech to learn how to use the things, and it will come. Now he spoke, last thing as well. He spoke about, last thing, he spoke about, now I forgot what I wanted to say, see? But we spoke about something. So I'll remember it later. But in general, about patient, I remember. It doesn't come in one day. And this is another thing that people here should understand. Also in Israel, we are not good at that. We want to rush, we are a startup nation, everything fast. In sport, it doesn't work this way. It works in a progress, in a process along the years. And when you get into technology, you have to understand also the technical managers in the clubs like Simba, Yanga, Azam, 4 or 5 years. Once you get now to the technology, in 4 or 5 years, you are in a completely different place in the football of Tanzania because of the passion. And I wish to see you in the World Cup.
Thank you. Robert, I think there is a question for you out there.
Yeah, the question was...
Simba?
The question was for the content creator, why did not take Robert's app?
Okay.
What I can say about the app, everything is almost done, so very soon we're going to launch the app. But to use technology to our team, for now we use Instant, so after every match we get the report of every player. Also in training, in some match, players they wear GPS, so after the match, the technical bench, they can know the player he ran for how long, to get some report about the player. So that's what we do now.
Okay, so you're not telling us about how much Simba is getting out, revenue you're getting from the platforms. Maybe you don't want to tell us the secret since Senzo is here, but I know Senzo knows a lot that is happening there.
For now, we get money only from our YouTube channel, but as I say, you know, our sponsors, they use our platform, so you can say that in contract that they sign with the club, one of the obligations they want to use our social media, so it's indirect, but you can say that they use our social media is part revenue for the club, because sponsors they use our social media, not only on the jerseys or around on the stadium.
Okay, because the social media is huge, so the sponsors come and jump on it, and it's all doing, they bring money to the club.
So yes, they use our social media to post their ads.
Okay, there was something for Sadiq. There was a question for you.
I think it was recommendation for the small clubs. So I think I would say 2 things around on that. So number one is just not just for small clubs, but for all the clubs in the country, is to acknowledge the changes that are ongoing, particularly on 2 fronts. So one, Tanzania in general in Africa is becoming a youth nation. So we have to acknowledge that. And that goes beyond technology. It goes with the issue of how we launch our jerseys, how we introduce players. We have to acknowledge that we are now dealing with a very young nation, and they have their own different ways of looking at things. And that now comes also with technology. Use of mobile phones, etc., smartphones is growing. So they have to acknowledge that first and make it part and parcel of what they're doing. So with respect to what the smaller clubs can do, as we are calling them smaller clubs, it's for a good reason. It's not out of disrespect. So I think maybe some governance body can come into play and support not a single club, but look at them as you want to put them together. So we have, for example, the league board or TFF, etc. You wouldn't imagine every club in the country to have their own mobile app. It's not realistic. You can think of Simba and Yanga because of their fan base, etc. They wouldn't want to be considered or put together with these other clubs. But if we have an app, for example, for the league, where all these features we are talking about, the engagement, jail selling, etc., you are putting together all these small clubs. You make it easy, because one of the biggest problems we have now is an installation of apps. Every now and then you get these pop-ups, you're out of storage space, etc. Which app can you uninstall? So you don't want to have an app for every club, because at some point it will be uninstalled. But if we think of it as a DSTV model, for example, where you have all these clubs put together and you support them on how they operate, at a TFF or a league board, so whenever a club is promoted into the first division, they automatically become part of and parcel of these digital platforms, more like the English Premier League. Once you are in a Premier League, it's a company, there are certain things you are sharing across the league. That makes it very easy. So if I'm a Mungo, I'm a new club in the league, I don't have to worry. Once I'm part of the league, it means there's a website, part of the league. It means I'm part of this one single app for the league where I can sell my jersey, even if I'm only dealing with 10,000 fans, but they can get my jersey from the league app of some sort. So I think we need to think about how do we want to put together all these different players and diversify the content. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Gender balance. Let's move to Sia.
Sorry, I can't stand.
I know the food knocked you out.
No, I'm injured. Thank you, Andrew. I'll try and be quick, even though I've got a lot of notes around this discussion. I'll start with the issue of the smaller clubs and the issue of not having data. Africa has got a problem of not having data. I'll make you an example with my team back in South Africa, which, by the way, when they caught up, I was already doing it. The difference is I didn't have the cameras or anything like that for my players. But what would happen when I go to a tournament, I would be having a profile of my player typed out to say, this is so-and-so, these are his strengths, these are his weaknesses, these are the goals he has scored, this is the behavior of the field and everything. You know, it would give a person something to start working on towards that player. And eventually we went online where now you can upload everything and all that stuff. So I think my advice, one, would be to the smaller clubs. Yes, you might not have the income to build a digital platform, but you need to start collecting your data from somewhere, be it keeping all your cards to say, this is the history of the player, this is how far the player has been with me and everything, because it sort of keeps tracking, and it also gives to say, if the player was in this club and that club and that club, who was coaching, because a person can then get a reference from the coach and everything. That has worked for me in some of the players that I have moved to say there's not enough data, but because the coaches are there and the information is there, someone can at least get a reference to give that player a trial. Now, moving to your app, exciting stuff. I actually love it because it's something that I would want to do, but I would want to know something completely different. The possibility, one thing I've picked up in Africa as well, our kids are excited to play PlayStation. You pay about 1,000 Rand for a FIFA game to play FIFA on an Xbox and everything. Have you considered having, and I know in South Africa, I wanted to do something similar, where within, even in our own league, we have like our own FIFA, if you want to call it that, where our kids can actually play using local players' names and everything. Because Kids don't know our players. They know Messi and Ronaldo because we are not doing anything digitally to ensure that our kids know who our local players are. I don't know Tanzanian players, but I don't even think Tanzania is making an effort for even me to know who the Tanzanian players are. And getting into that space when you guys are developing, maybe let's even look into gaming, where we are using the current players that are in the league so that we get to know them, we play with them on platforms and everything. I think that's what I want to say. And this will also be in terms of supporters, because then the supporters follow their players, they follow who they are and everything. To the Simba guys, because I've heard a lot about their growth on Instagram and everything. I've been on your site, I follow you. But one thing I've realized, language. You mentioned Al Ali and you said you're benchmarking yourselves with Al Ali. One thing I'll tell you about Al Ali, there's Al Ali and there's Al Ali English, because it's for us, because they want to capture the rest of the world. In terms of language now, they are being adaptable to be able to make provisions for people like me who don't speak Arabic. So something to think about, because the first turn-off for me when I go on your site is that it's in Swahili. Okay, it's fine. You know what? Let me move on to something else. So if you are wanting to keep your audience, because we follow you in Champions League and everything, but if you want to keep us as well as your audience, we shouldn't need to go to Google Translate to see what you are writing and what you are saying. And then also, in terms of your supporters, you've got the support base here, Yanga, Simba, Azam. I think those are the three teams, and we'll always be talking to them because it's them that we know. But one thing I also want to ask, in terms of digital trends now, are you sampling your supporters? Because I read a report for Liverpool. When Liverpool went into a transition in terms of coming into the digital era, they did a sampling of their supporters to say what appeals to a 35 to a 45-year-old who is likely to watch our game at 7 o'clock at night as opposed to at 3 o'clock at night. Because even that then even talks to what kind of merchandise are you going to be selling, what entertainment are you going to be having at the stadium and all those things. So, and also in terms of you guys moving into this digital era, what are you doing to attract the young kid in the ground there to say, this kid wants to aspire playing for Simba and everything? And lastly, what are you mentioned Instead, which is good and everything, but do you have a full-on analysis department that is therefore able to take that information apart at the end of the day? Once the players have won the GPS tracking vests and everything else, do you have a full-on analysis department that can actually provide that information and break it down into layman terms? Because Instead just gives you a report and graphs and everything. But are you interpreting the information in layman terms that anyone that comes can actually say, this is the profile and the information of our players, and this is what we are doing. These are the profiles of our players. Because as much as, yes, you are getting the money from the sponsors in terms of following and everything, the core business of football is play. It's what's happening inside the field of play. And we must never forget that. Because once you forget the core business, you will just be a big club and a popular club. But when the core business is not taken care of, then you frustrate the supporters and everyone else is frustrated, and ultimately even the sponsors get frustrated and the messaging is just missed because the club is not taking care of the core business. So that is, I will go on about this topic, but thank you very much. This is what I just wanted to say. But great work you guys are doing. But I just want to know, in terms of those things, digital, that's where we're all going. But in terms of digital, what are you doing to keep up with the trends? Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sia. Simba, she's said something that is very pertinent, and it's something that I also stressed to the club some time ago. So when you mentioned it, I was here smiling and looking at him there because I think we shared with him some time back. So these things will keep popping up now and again, now and again, now and again, till one day you decide and say, I think it's high time you need to change things a little. Simba is huge, Yanga is huge, so things should happen in a huge way. Yeah? But slowly, slowly.
Kidogo kidogo. Okay. You've mentioned very nice things. I think you should have been one of us, because this is you know, digital. You have spoken about subjective data. I think this is the way you say it in English, like the data that the coaches insert about the players, not the one that comes from the machines, let's call it. So I'm working with a team named Gadna. It's another small team in Israel, and this is the way they do it. Someone works with a phone, take some videos of the trainings, upload to the library of the club, and all the reports, all the grades of the players, the coaches feels. No one feel. Again, and this is what I talked in data. You don't go from 1 to 100. Artificial intelligence, I'll take it as like example. You go 1 to 2, 2 to 3. You go step by step. We have time. We will become better. But first of all, how to click on the system. This is one thing. You spoke about gaming, and something that, you know, fans interactions is, I think it is the most important thing in football. It's all about fans. It's a show. And you know, I'm a company, I'm football around me, I develop a lot of things. So one of the things that I've developed in the past, even these Euro games, is a match for in between friends, what we call pool match. And everyone is guessing the scores, playing in between themselves, and predict the group stage and the knockouts, for example. And this is creating interaction around the league, because everyone is waiting for the results. Now, it is not betting, we are not into betting. You are creating a social game. Now, about what you have spoken about knowing the players, this is what is called fantasy. This is the name, fantasy. The Premier League has the best fantasy league all over the world. It's amazing to play fantasy league. You choose your players, you pick them, you buy them, and then you manage your own team. You get, by the real results, you get the points. And this is, again, like we educate the clubs, we need to educate the fans. So, okay, start from guessing the score. Start from creating leagues with the association gives a trophy or gives a present to the winner, tickets to the Champions League or something like shirts of the teams. Social game that everyone play for free and engage, and then, okay, they are on the platform, jump to fantasy, because fantasy is a bit complicated with the budget and so. That's it.
Sorry, I think what I was asking around that, I know fantasy, I play it, by the way, but what I was saying is that is maybe the teams can answer if it's something they would have an appetite for in getting their players known, because we play, like I say, we play FIFA, and you select a team and everything. But in terms of the African continent, we don't have that. I think it's only Kaizer Chiefs, that's probably in one of the FIFA games, that you can actually select the team and kids know that who the players are and everything. Now, what I'm asking from the teams is that you as a developer, is it something that you've got an appetite for Africa? And also as the teams, is it something that they could have an appetite for to increase their fan engagement and everything? I think in South Africa, it's gone as far as like we have the Carlin Black Label Cup, where supporters buy a beer and then they vote who is in the starting lineup. There's even a supporter who becomes a coach, but it's actually a game. The difference with what I'm asking is, could we create an app, or can Yanga create an app where they have their own app, supporters select their own players, they start playing amongst each other through gaming though?
I think it's a responsibility of the association, less the clubs. We have tried in Israel once, me and one of the clubs, to create this fan engagement with the game, and the base is not that big, because you are speaking only to one little sector. When the association is making it, this creates the engagement with all of the league. The responsibility of the fan engagement to the league is the responsibility of the organization that manage the league, either it's an organization or the association. So for this, We can speak after I've created something, but...
Okay, Rabbi, I think you need to throw more light on something to do with Simba.
Regarding English account, you follow our Twitter or Instagram? Okay. In Twitter, we have 2 accounts, English and Swahili. So when you post in Swahili, also we post it in English. I think even for Al Ahly and the other club in the world, they have 2 accounts. Now we are working to verify our English account, but we have 2 accounts. Okay. Then regarding instant, yes, we have a specialist, the guy from Zimbabwe. So when you get the report from instant, he's the one who work on it, and then he give the report to our head coach. Also, you speak about fans and you compare us and Liverpool. You know, you give an example. Yes, you know, Simba now we are still in transformation. So we are grow up, but I think we need time. We try to work on other projects that we can for now, but I'm sure after 5 or we can say 5 or 3 years we'll be far, we'll not be here. So give us time.
Time. How much time is enough? Oh, Sadiq.
So for me, I just have one quick addition going back to how we want to look at technology. And we had Mr. Boniface from the previous panel. I think it's about time as well, the governing bodies, the league board or the TFF, etc., particularly for the Premier League clubs, maybe we need to establish digital requirements as well. Because I can imagine all these teams, there are football requirements for them to be a Premier League club, maybe medical requirements for every match, you need to have ambulance, etc. But since technology has a very huge potential to help these clubs, maybe we need to start thinking about the digital requirements for you to be a Premier League club. And again, going back to what Senzo said earlier, facilitate that requirement. So you don't just tell a club, for you to be a Premier League club, you must have social media accounts or website, whatever will define that digital requirement. And then when you come in as Azam, who want to sponsor the league, we are telling you, part of sponsorship, we have digital requirements for the clubs. You need to pay for their website hosting, for example. In other countries, every club is doing it on their own, but we can have our own model where you have these requirements, and that supports everything else. So I think it could be about time as a federation, because now we are having implications. You may not have digital regulations or requirements, but when Simba, Yanga, Azam post something on social media, you want to punish them, for example, because we know that social media has become an official channel. When they say something, there are some requirements or regulations that can have implications. I think that could be something that bodies like TFF and League Board should start looking at, establishing some sort of digital standards or requirements for leagues, particularly starting with the Premier League, for example.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sadiq. I think if I remember right, Senzo, I think in club licensing, a club is supposed to have a website. It's not a big requirement. Okay. Yeah, but I think, like he said, I think most of these things need to be pushed by the governing bodies of football in respective countries, because then. Yeah. It is. We are here to share.
You know, when SuperSport came into partnership with the Premier Soccer League back home, one of the digital requirements that Mutum is talking about, most of the clubs didn't have the capacity to host their own website. You can see even now most of the websites that are run by other clubs, they are hosted by SuperSport platforms. Even the website of the Premier Soccer League, it's hosted by the platform of SuperSport. So these are the relationships we're talking about. Don't give me money and say, this is what I need from you, broadcast your matches, bus, you know. How do we assist each other to ensure that the product does not end on the relationship of me giving you money, I give you content. How do we take it to the next level? I know that when I'm going there as a broadcaster, I will now be looking after 16 teams, or rather 32 teams in the league. How do I ensure that at least when they go to their website, I can feel that I'm respected because the brand which I'm associated with at least has got a website. I know who they are. I know where they are located. Who are the board of directors? Who are the managers of these teams? You know, something I found here in my second home is that website is not seen as an important thing. Website is very important. Website is your CV. It's your digital CV that tells people who you are. You can do very well in your socials and everything, but website is something that somebody who doesn't even know who's Mbeya City. I love Mbeya City. Maybe I'll go and work for Mbeya. And I've been talking about Mbeya the whole time. But if somebody goes online, Mbeya City, then they must know who's Mbeya, where they're situated in the country, the little bit of history in the past. Those are some things that even the sponsors look at. You know, they will go later to the social media, or rather, the social media should push them back to the website so that know about us. We are Simba Sports Club. We are born in 1936. We have this history. This is who we are. You know, this is our feature for this week. Is this player? All those other things they assist. You know, the biggest and the oldest club in the country, Young Africans, 1935. Our Makao Makua in Jangwani. But that information is not available on social media. People don't know about that. So it is important to understand that things like websites are a key. They are a CV that tells people who you are. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Senzo. Things to do with the website. You have touched the real subject that I love, and Simba know that so well. I'm working on one for the Libya Football Federation because I also convinced them. I thought Libya is really big and there's no website. They're doing things, they don't seem to have a plan. So I convinced them. I was in Libya, I think 2 months ago. I did one for Zambia as well. Zambia spent 4 years without a website. I kept talking to my friend, the president of the federation. He's Andrew, just like me. I told him, but Andrew, namesake, this Zambia is huge in football. How can't you have a website? A website is basically like, you know, people will not know what's happening. And eventually I went there and we have a website running. So things to do with website looks like something small, but it's huge. It's good for the club. It's good for the federation. Yes, Gibe Kalule, former Cranes player, used to miss a lot of goals. You know I love you so much, so.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you, Mr. Shalom, for your presentation. I just want to highlight a little bit on the business of football in regard to the digital world and the demands of the modern game. But I am going to make the comments from the agent perspective. Yeah, since morning we've been speaking about sponsorships, revenue coming in, but normally we haven't really spoken about how can clubs try to make sure that they don't lose money. Yeah, in terms of scouting, we've seen that a lot of decisions, especially in top level football, clubs are trying to make sure that in making decisions when they're trying to scout players, especially in the top level, it's not so easy when there are very few actors. I mean characters, good players that every good club wants to go for. So they've made mistakes. You've seen Manchester United with Di Maria. I think they spent about more than 80 million. Then we have also Falcao. Manchester made a big gamble with him because previously, about 2-3 decades ago, clubs used to scout players depending on sometimes recommendations. Sometimes a coach comes here in Tanzania and decides to take 2 players maybe to Algeria because he's Algerian. But in modern times, clubs have used data, and this is why we are seeing today that in Tanzania, if you come here and you're looking for the best player, maybe somebody can easily say it's Boko. But in the international game, I think people would not have known players like Kante. So data has helped the scouting business to try to give a better understanding of the impact of these characters on the pitch in terms of knowing their physical capacity, how much value that they can give to the team, depending on what the team is going to face. You spoke about analyzing the opponents. Let's say the opponents are so athletic. So with the GPS that my colleague here spoke about, we shall know if we are going to play, for example, maybe Raja Casablanca or Mamelodi Sundowns, whether we should field Andrew, a central defender who is maybe much more athletic, covers maybe 10 kilometers in a couple of maybe half an hour. So this data has helped teams a lot, and especially in recruitment, it's not so easy now to just send a video, because different markets, the intensity of the game is different. Boko, for example, can score 30 goals here, but the league in South Africa and the intensity is different. And therefore the data, depending on the evaluation of the league here, the intensity of the league, it's gonna be very hard for Walter to say, look, I think I can take Boko. So Walter has to rely on data to try to get the business done, or otherwise we shall never have players in the top leagues. Recently I was looking at, I've been scouting a player, he's called Juma Nyanji. I don't know who knows that player, but he's a model of a player like Kante. And in the morning we were speaking about not having enough talent around the country. For sure there is a lot of talent, but we need to understand what type of talent. And then we can then begin to see how we can plan to develop that talent. We need to know what kind of players do teams need in the highest level. But now, to understand these players, we need to try to understand the business that the use of data is going to help us to be able to interpret. These days now, to make big decisions to sign players for 100, 200 millions, sometimes they just don't look at the glamour of the goals. They also predict the behavior of the player. They sign a player, and the analysts will say, we expect Mr. Senzo to score 40 goals next season because of the behaviors on the field. Because they're analyzing the data that they're giving, they're seeing which positions is Senzo running to. Because a lot of times, even the behaviors of a player, as much as he might not score, it helps the team to score. So it is only data, not just by seeing the numbers and the statistics that, oh yeah, he scored 40 goals. So if we want to stand by the challenges and move forward at the same pace with the top clubs like Mamelodi Sundowns, like Ahly, I think we really need to get there and try to, technically, I had my sister spoke about education. Sia, she spoke about educating, putting more investment in human resource. Shalom also has just spoken about everything being in Dar es Salaam. I can tell you East Africa has talent. For me, when I look at the Tanzanian league, I almost can see a potential player in Europe because of their athleticism, their characteristics physically. I see that if we have more connections, more networking, and more decision makers, especially in the technical area, if we have more Senzos here, more workers coming and doing a lot of networking and adding value to the football industry in Tanzania or Uganda, Kenya, I believe that East Africa is better than West Africa in talent. I believe so. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gibe.
You just reminded me, looking at this modern way of doing things, looking at the data to analyze players, you just reminded me there was a coach, a Nigerian coach who handled the Uganda Cranes some many years ago when I used to cover a lot of football as a journalist. And the first time he saw me, he said, "Hey, I wish you were a footballer." So I asked him why. He said, "That physique of yours, and you just wait and see my team. All the defenders are going to be tall." So I looked at this coach and I'm like, wow, okay, tall, but how much football this defender know? And eventually he used to field very tall defenders. But you know, things have moved from that now. There's a lot of more analysis that people do. You can find short defenders, but who can do quite a lot of work for you as the coach. Do we have some other input? Please walk to the mic and let us know what you want to say.
Hello everyone. I am Eduardo Tamayo and I am the academy manager of the Jakaya Kikwete in Dar es Salaam. A very good point made just now by Kime about data. And I would like to emphasize this about all of this data that we need about players, about development. And my point here is the application that you have presented to us I love it. I think if I could have it, I will put it into my academy. It's something that I will present to the bosses. We'll see what happens. But I think that will benefit many different teams on different ways. Getting data, getting information to coaches, getting information to players. So my question here is to the teams such as Simba, Yanga, Assam, to the federation, to the Tanzanian Football Federation. What's the likelihood of getting these applications to be part of the teams? And I'm talking about not just the senior team, because yes, great, the senior team has it, fantastic. But what about the under 23, the under 20, the under 18s? How do we get all of this data that is going to help us develop these players? So that's my question to you guys. Football Federation, Assam, Yanga, Simba, what's the likelihood of you acquiring an application like this?
Thank you very much. We have anyone here from TFF who can say something?
Yeah, I have only a few to comment on that. That you are trying our level best to making sure that all Premier League clubs, they have a correct under 20 and the under 17 with the fully training program, including the demand of having qualified coaches, qualified technical bench, so that they can collect all these informations. We're also trying our level best to build the capacity for this technical bench in under 20 and the under 17. It will assist in knowledge of running these teams in modern way. Before, we use the assistant coach to collect data manually. Now encourage our technicians in these benches to collect data digitally. It's good enough. The coach is almost part and parcel of our youth programs. So after this summit, himself and the other coaches from second teams, under 20 teams and the under 17 teams will have a time to share information on these important issues like digital. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Time is not on our side. I know we would talk digital, tech till tomorrow. We need to end it here. A few words from you, just 20 seconds to wrap it up.
I don't know how to talk in 20 seconds. Okay, so I think this is the last panel here. So the only thing I would say is, two things. First of all, as I said, call to actions. Guys, we leave the summit, let's keep this channel of Peter alive. First of all for Peter, because we have created something amazing in here. Second, for ourselves to get an impact out of this summit and not just to talk. And the second thing that I want to say is thank you to Peter. I think we should clap our hands to this guy. He has created an amazing thing.
Thank you. Sadiq?
Well, thank you everyone for your participation and Peter for organizing this. I think for me, my closing remarks will be a challenge to us, technology people, and the clubs. It's something that I challenged leaders of one of the clubs, and of course I'm glad TFF are here. So when we talk of benchmarking and comparison when it comes to digital, and a good example of the social media that we really want to pay focus on, we really have to see where we are getting it wrong. So I gave an example to the team managers, the leaders. They were focusing on growing their social media account and they were competing with the other club. And I told them, if you ask me, all these clubs are underperforming. And the reason is very simple. We have a musician in Tanzania, Shilole. I gave them that as an example. Not as big as Diamond and all that. And I told these leaders that if you look at the numbers of followers that Shilole has on Instagram, she has more numbers than Simba, Yanga, and TFF combined. So to me, when you say Simba is the biggest institution in the country, Yanga is the biggest institution in the country, or TFF is big, football is big, and you have a relatively normal artist. Of course, it could be different industries, but we are targeting the similar fans and people in the country. Entertainment, it means something is not right. And maybe we don't have just to look at Simba and Yanga and Azam. We need to look beyond because we could be all underperforming. So I think to me, I will just take that as a challenge when we talk of benchmarks and comparison, etc. Let's look beyond and challenge ourselves beyond our comfort zones because we could be underperforming and maybe competing against the wrong competitor.
Danke schön, like the Germans say. Rabbi, wrap it up.
For me, I would like to thank Peter for this opportunity. I think we need summit like this every year to discuss how we can help our football to grow up. Also, I would like to advise other clubs in Tanzania. You know, Simba is big to compare with others. So even as we try our best to...
There we go.
to continue to work hard to grow. So I advise other clubs to use technology and digital because if you want to compete with other big clubs in Africa, we need to use technology. So for me,
okay, thank you, Robert.
My take is I think the association, the TFF and the TBL, you should all have a digital roadmap to this club down there. If you don't have it, and if you don't insist, they won't work on it, because all they see when you go to these other clubs, small clubs, when you talk about this digital and technology, all they see is expenses. It's too costful. You understand? While it's not. But you association, if you have a roadmap, and then this can help them. Yeah. So that's my take. Thank you, Peter, and the whole team of Afrisoccer and TFS.
Thank you very, very much, Andrew Jackson Oriada, my names. Thanks a lot, Peter, for putting this together. This is now a family. Let's keep all the contacts. Let's engage each other. Because at the end of the day, it's not just coming here for a holiday, me coming from Uganda, him coming from I don't know where, flying from South Africa. No, let's make use of this. Let's internalize whatever we have discussed since yesterday. And we love football. All of us here who are here, we love football. And you know, one thing about football is fitness. So let's try to keep fit as well, because we are living in very tough times. COVID, when it hits you, it needs to find you a little fitter. So may God bless you all. Thank you.
All right, Shlomi, your MacBook. Super. Thank you. All right, thank you very much for the presentation. I believe the evaluation form was passed around. Please fill it in, tafadhali. Tujaze fomu yetu ya tathmini. I'm happy to announce we have a closing guest of honor, because we're now going into the closing ceremony before the tea. And a short wait before we go for the cocktail. Hope you can make it. You're all invited. It's just going to be outside. It's going to be set out outside. And it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Charles Magazu. If you would stand, sir, and let's put our hands together. And he's from the National Sports Council. We had Madam Pauline, the Deputy Minister, Information and Culture, Arts and Sports, as our guest of honor. But we also had Neema Msita, if you would all remember, the Acting Secretary General, Tanzania Sports Council, and Mr. Charles Magazu is representing that hierarchy going all the way up. And nifurahi tu kukaribisha ndugu Charles Magazu ili tuweze kutufungia kikao chetu hiki kikuu, summit hii kuhusiana na maendeleo ya mpira wa miguu hapa nchini na barani Afrika kwa ujumla, ikiwa tumepata washiriki kutoka sehemu mbalimbali duniani, kutoka Afrika Kusini, kutoka Uganda, kutoka Kenya, wametoka watu wengine mbali zaidi ambao wako katika mabara ya Afrika, lakini wana shiriki kutoka Israel, kwa mfano ndugu ambaye ametoka hivi sasa hapa. Kwa hiyo ushiriki umekuwa ni wa kimataifa haswa, na kwa wale ambao wanaangalia kupitia Azam sports channel yao number 1 HD wamefaidika sana. Nadhani weekend hii kuweza kusikiliza yote ambayo yamejadiliwa, mbali na kwamba ilikuwa ni kwa Kiingereza, lakini kwa wale ambao wameweza kungamua chochote kuhusiana na masuala ya dijitali, kuhusiana na masuala ya masoko, kuhusiana na masuala mbalimbali tangu jana, kuhusiana na mawakala na kadhalika, mambo yamekuwa ni mengi mazuri. Tunao watu mashuhuri kama hivi sasa unamwona wamekaa pembeni ya Kalu, sijui kama ulikuwa unamuona enzi hizo wakati anacheza, na wengine ambao walikuwepo na sisi. Kuna watu ambao ni mashuhuri katika kutafuta wachezaji na kuwauza sehemu mbalimbali, wawakilishi kutoka Afrika Kusini katika ngazi za juu kabisa katika shirikisho la soka. Kwa hiyo naomba nipitie baadhi ya majina yao ambao tunao hapa. Tumekuwa na I'm just going to mention some of you. I was letting the guest of honor know what we've been talking about, what we've been discussing, and who's present in the room. Kwanza tuliendeshwa na mwenyekiti wetu Dr. Tumaini Katunzi, mwenyekiti wa kamati ya maandalizi. Pia tulikuwa naye ndugu Abdul Latif Ali Yasin, rais shirikisho la mpira Zanzibar. Naomba tu ujionyeshe kidogo. Biria, Vice President, South African Football, Tanzania. Hey, South Africa, it's you know you're staying. You know you're going to stay after that. Eh? If I do that, you stay. At least for a day more, okay? South Africa. Ndugu Salum Madadi, acknowledged, mkurugenzi wa mashindano kutoka Federation ya Tanzania hapa, kimwakilisha wala skiria. Na natumaini kwamba mtanisaidia wengine ambao mtakuja kuzungumza, haswa Peter ambaye ndio utatufungia kabisa, watambua wengine ambao tumekuwa nao. Kwa hiyo kupitia jarida ambalo tumekupatia, nadhani umepitia majina umeona. Kwa kweli panelists wamekuwa wanatusaidia sana, mawazo mapya kabisa, na tungependa kusoma kwako tunasema recommendations ama mapendekezo ama yale ambayo tumeyajadili tunayaweka pamoja ili muweze kuyasikia na tuweze kukukabidhi na uweze kuondoka nayo. Na hakika hizi zitakuwa ni main points tu, lakini ripoti kamili itaeleza kwa undani kila kipengele. Kwa hiyo kwa kazi hiyo naomba nimkaribishe Company Secretary wa AfriSoccer waandalizi. I'm going to welcome the AfriSoccer Company Secretary, Jonas Maheto, so we can listen to the resolutions. Now these are in point form, they're not in depth, but they outline the different ideas, the different thoughts that we had and opinions that we had that we were presenting during the sessions. And the official report, and also with your input through the email that he will supply at the very end, will help to concretize the resolutions positive from each one of you. So please listen to them carefully, and then later, once we send them out, we put them out, let's make sure that each one of us says, in this particular area where I presented, I believe the concrete points were these, so that we can capture the essence of what we were discussing. Kwa karibu kaka, labda please patch it in so that we can display them. Kwa hiyo haya tunayaita maazimio. These are the resolutions. Is this laptop on? All right, this laptop went off. We'll allow the company secretary to come through. So it's been a good 2 days. As someone on the fringes who just depends on social media mostly, and newspapers and television, and who probably enjoys more the foreign game rather than the local one, it's been insightful, and I hope a lot of Tanzanians were able to benefit by listening in or maybe reading through the papers. So I feel a lot more encouraged that we're taking a step in the right direction for local football, especially with strategic management. I'm one of those persons who had actually dreamed about 10 years ago to run the female league in Tanzania, because I was already sponsoring one of the teams. And as I said before, through my radio work, I was requesting a lot of the players to give them visibility to play with us in our radio teams. And so now we have a women's league in Tanzania, and I'm really happy about that. And so Ria with, I believe we have a Sia and Ria sitting together. Seeing as how passionate you are, I hope you can find some time to come to Tanzania at some point in time and meet women here who would maybe draw from you. The experiences you have and the activism that you have and the passion that you have so that we can make this a true reality and really bring it to the fore. Right? With the stadium managers, I'm averse to going to stadiums, I'll admit. I never believe they're safe enough. I'm never sure whether the game is going to end with me in hospital. Not because I've had a heart attack, my team Yanga lost 1-0 to Simba. But I'm never really sure if it's going to be a safe environment, if I can get out with my car safely, if I can take my family, if I can take my son who loves football so much. So the experience has always been a passive one on television or just receiving results later. So with the resolutions that we've come up with and the ideas, things that we've discussed, I hope the stadia are going to be a lot more attractive for passive participants or fans like myself. Are you ready, sir? Here we go.
Good evening to all of you. My name is Jonas Maheto. I'm a lawyer and the company secretary of AfriSoccer Consulting Limited. Before you are some of the resolutions. They are in a very bullet form, but I hope from there we will create a more concrete document, because I was just being as a rapporteur and jotting down some notes. And I think you will add some inputs from the email that will be provided down there. So these are the Tanzania Football Summit 2021 resolutions. These are just draft resolutions that have been adopted or will be adopted today by the participants of the TFS 2021 during the Tanzania Football Summit at Hayati Regions, Dar es Salaam. When we go direct to the topics, we had 6 topics from yesterday to today. The first topic was development of youth and women football. We had different presenters and panelists. Therefore, from the panelists and from the presenters, we acknowledge that the efforts made by the Football Federation and the government in general in uplifting youth football and women football. We recognize the critical role that football plays in the social and economic development to youth and women. We are alarmed by the ways in which youth and women football are run and managed in the country, the number of youth and women participating in football, and the support that youth and women football get. Now, it is resolved that the government of Tanzania provides support to the federation so that it becomes easier to get sponsors for youth and women football, because it was discussed that youth and women attracts a small fund to run these leagues. It is resolved that federation to create enough and establish youth and women football programs and lobby for funds from CAF and FIFA, because one of the presenters said federation is just waiting to receive from FIFA, and it is not doing so much to create its own program and sell to FIFA or CAF. That federation to create non-gender-based opportunities for women coaches to participate in national teams. It was seen that most of the football teams, the coaches mostly are women, mostly are men. Therefore, the federation is argued to create non-gender-based opportunities. The federation to put systems or policy and constitutional changes to make it easier for capable women to participate in leadership in football. One of the presenters said, even if the systems are there, but if they are not supporting women, it will take years for women to participate in leadership in football. Therefore, we need constitutional and policy changes. The last one, the government and African families to assist to change perceptions on youth and women football to allow more youth and women to participate in football. As we can remember, one of the participants said the problem is perception. Most of the African families do not allow their kids to participate in football. They just forcing to go to school and to participate in other activities instead of encouraging to participate in football. That was the first topic. The second topic, it was stadium management. We acknowledge the presence of well-managed stadiums in Tanzania and Africa, affirming that most of the stadiums are owned and managed by either the government, city council, or the ruling party. We are alarmed by the ways and the status of the stadiums in that they have poor infrastructure, that means the pitch, poorly trained managers, no regulations as to the safety and security, and the stewardship and maintenance. There was a discussion during the session that most of the stadiums, the security are the polices, and the stewards are just there to assist. They are behind the security, like the police. Therefore, it is it is a challenge because most of the FIFA regulation need stewards instead of police to be in front. We are deeply concerned with the revenue generation from the stadiums, fund management in stadiums, as well as age and gender sensitivity in stadiums. Now, it is resolved that the government of Tanzania, of course in Africa in general, and the owners of stadiums to engage and recruit competent, skilled, and experienced personnel from manager to stewards to run the stadiums. The government of Tanzania and owners of stadiums to improve the quality of pitches and infrastructure. That the owners of stadiums to design stadiums infrastructure to be gender sensitive. There were discussions around that most of the stadiums are not gender sensitive. When women enter into the stadiums, there are no conducive environment for them. Even the kids, the playing grounds are not good for kids. Therefore, it is, we argue the owners of the stadiums to design infrastructure that go in line with gender. The football stadium managers to consider and encourage the issues of age, gender sensitivity in the stadium to make a stadium attractive and conducive to both ages and gender. The football stadium manager to consider fans and supporters' comfortability at the stadium from the entrance to exits. And the last one, the federation to create appropriate standardization guideline for quality certification of stadiums. Currently, we don't have standard certification. That means someone may decide to construct a stadium, and tomorrow the federation can allow such a stadium to be used as a playing ground for the competitions without even certification. That's all about stadium management. The third topic, intermediary service in football. We acknowledge the football intermediary service is a new development in Tanzania football. We are proving that football teams and players are now using intermediary and the agent service in the country, especially during transfer window. We are alarmed with the way intermediary service are managed, regulated, and controlled by the federation. We are deeply concerned with the low level of understanding by the players and football teams on the role of intermediary and agents. Now, it is resolved that the federation to develop proper regulations and control of intermediary service in the country, that the federation to be more active in raising awareness level and encouraging players and teams to use intermediary or agent services. The fourth topic was revenue generation. Revenue generation source and the financial service associated with football. We recognize that modern football depends entirely on revenue to run the teams and participate in tournaments. We acknowledge that the government, federation, and football clubs put efforts to increase more funds from sponsors and from other sources. We are alarmed that there is mismatch between income and expense. Football clubs still struggle to have different revenue streams to fund club activities. There were discussions that most of the football teams are gaining less than what they spend. Therefore, there is mismatch. We are deeply disturbed that football clubs have limited personnel with managerial skills to manage funds and revenue. One of the speakers said, instead of thinking of source of funds, we must have the managers who are well trained and who are experienced in running, managing the revenue. We are deeply concerned with the minimum revenue directed to First Division and the Women League in the country. Now, it is resolved that the football clubs are argued to have proper governance, strategy, financial, and budgetary control mechanisms for them to manage well the revenue available. That the government to consider football as a unique sport sector and reconsider taxation issues and revenue distribution. There were discussions that football is not recognized or taken as a unique sector, and therefore the taxes that are imposed on football are the same taxes that are imposed in other areas or other sector. Therefore, we argue and we pray that the government to consider football as a unique sports sector and reconsider taxation issue and revenue distribution. You get distribution, but a bigger percentage of the fund is going to the government. The federation to strive to pump more revenue to First Division and Women League. The fourth topic was football marketing and sponsorship. That we recognized again that modern football relies on marketing and sponsorship for revenue generation, bearing in mind that sponsors assist financially to credible football clubs, affirming that the government, federation, and football clubs have done much to market football and attract more sponsors into football, alarmed that clubs and players have limited expertise in marketing and looking for sponsors. We are deeply concerned that sponsors do not get quality and value for money from their sponsorship. It is now resolved that the federation to prepare more seminars and trainings on marketing and sponsorship to raise level of expertise. That the football clubs are argued to strive to create value for money and a return to sponsors. There were discussions that the challenge is not sponsorship, but what does sponsor get from your club or from your team? Therefore, it is argued that a club to strive to create value for money and a return to sponsors. That football club to have focus and a strategy to engage NGO and development partners is complementary to sponsors. One of the speakers or participants said, we are concentrating much to look for sponsors, but there are other revenue streams that can be utilized by clubs. For instance, UNICEF is giving aid to some of the clubs. Therefore, instead of thinking of sponsors, we have to look for partners and NGO that can bring in revenue. I think the last topic is on technology and digital platform, the sixth topic. Recognizing the current world is a technological world, and football has to keep pace with it. Fully aware, there has been commendable efforts by the government and the federation and the football clubs to incorporate technology in Tanzania football. We are alarmed that there are many small and medium football clubs and players that have not yet embraced technology to develop the teams, coaches, and the player in general. We are deeply concerned that there are quite a number of football teams not aware that online platform might be a good source of revenue and data. Now, it is resolved that the government and federation to continue to embrace technology and digital platforms, the federation and football clubs to have strategic focus on the use of technology, that the federation to encourage football teams to use technology to develop talents of their players, coaches, and the teams in general. One of the speakers said most of the football teams think that technology and the digital platforms are there only to post and sharing information. But those technology can be used to develop talents, to measure performance of the players, even to measure what kind of meal that the player can eat on particular days. Therefore, Federation is encouraged to encourage their teams to develop technology so that it can develop talents of the players. It is resolved that the Federation to embrace technology to keep football data for the country. The evening discussions were about data, that we have no data in the country. If you want to look for a certain player who played just a few years, you can't get any information. The football clubs to use technology to increase fan engagement beyond offering information. That football clubs are using technology, but only for sharing information. But the technology can be used as a source of revenue. The technology can be used as a fan engagement. You can have competition within the online platforms, and fans may be engaged. Therefore, those are the resolutions. We have tried to capture some of the issues, but these are just in a bullet forms. And we really argue and we beseech you to provide input so that we can create a concrete document so that it can be sent to the Federation, to the participants, and to the government. So that is the email of AfriSoccer. If you have something that you think is very important to be captured, the email is there, info@afrisoccer.co.tz. We kindly ask you to bring in more ideas, bring in more recommendations and resolutions so that this document can be more useful and the government can support our resolutions that we have made today. By saying so, I say thank you for listening. MC, I'm done with my job.
Do the delegates adopt the resolutions? Yes? By a show of hands, we're good? We had 2 good days? All right, thank you very much. And the email is there. Let's please strengthen each part. Yes? Yes, that's right. All right, supporters need to be part of the decision-making process in football. Super, kabisa. I think you can add that one on immediately. All right, very well. So Peter, where is our acclaimed starter of this? May I please welcome you for a word of thanks and to welcome the chief guest to close, please. Just for local television. Tunakaribia mwisho na mkaribisha sasa Peter ambaye ndiye mwasisi wa Tanzania Football Summit. Karibu sana, utoe neno la kushukuru, naomba uzungumze kwa Kiswahili na Kiingereza. Kisha baada ya hapo mkaribishe mgeni wetu aweze kufunga tafadhali. Please, karibu Peter.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I don't know what to say. For real. You want to make me cry, you know? Don't do that. Yeah, I would like to take this opportunity to present my gratitude to you guys, all of you. all the way from Israel just for me, for Tanzania, for Africa. That's really fantastic. It's a real love, man. Fadiga, all the way from Belgium. Gibi, I don't want to say what you told me. I know the situation left at home, but you came here for me. You want me to say it in front of people? Sia, Bulela, South Africa. Ria, I know you are a busy woman, but you're here for us, for Tanzanian football, for African football. Macau from Dodoma, President of Federation, Zanzibar, with the General Secretary. Martin from Germany. That's real love. So if we work like this, if we cooperate like this, I do believe 100% we're going to move forward. We will see changes in football industry. We will see that, 100% sure. This is a commitment, this passion. So we need to do more than this. This year was the start, but next year we'll do better than this. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your support. We are going to share this report to the government, Ministry of Sports, and the Federation, Tanzania Football Federation, and President Wallace Kalia. Of course, he was supposed to be here, but he went for the final match, Sekafa tournament under 23, and we won, of course, as Tanzania. So you can see how they work hard to make the development of football. Wallace Kalia, I congratulate him as well. I would like also to present my gratitude to the Minister of Sports, Honorable Innocent Bashungwa. We have been working together for so long, since we started this idea. He was there. With Mr. Yusuf Singo, the Director of Sports, he was there as well. Neema Msita, General Secretary, acting at National Sports Council, she was there as well. So everyone tried to give input in the preparation of the summit. Now we see it happened, and now we are approaching to the end. Kwa faida ya Watanzania wengi, kufanya maendeleo na mabadiliko yanatakiwa yatoke kwetu sisi wenyewe, ndani yetu sisi wenyewe. Afrisoka tumeona kupitia kongamano hili la mpira Tanzania Football Summit litaweza kabisa kuweza kusaidia maendeleo ya mpira kwenye nchi yetu. Tunataka tuone leo hii, tumeona nchi kama South Africa wameweza kuandaa kombe la dunia mwaka 2010. Lakini hata sisi tuna nafasi ya kuandaa mashindano makubwa hapa Tanzania. Afrika nchi zina nafasi za kuandaa mashindano, na nafasi za kuandaa World Cup. Isiwe imetokea tu South Africa basi ikachukua muda mwingine mrefu sana tujue nchi nyingine ya Afrika inaandaa tena hii. Vimezungumzwa vitu vingi sana. These topics ilikuwa 6, lakini ni nyingi. Siku 2 tumediscuss hizo topics. Tumeona exhibition imefanyika pia ya makampuni mbalimbali ambao wamekuja na bidhaa zao, na wako tayari pia kuja kuweza kufanya uwekezaji katika nchi yetu. Kwa hiyo sisi pia ni wakati, unaona tunaanza hata kuvutia kupitia summit hii, pia tumeweza kuvutia watu ambao wako tayari kuja kuwekeza kwenye nchi hii. Sasa hii tumefanya mara ya kwanza na tumepata pia experience nzuri kwamba pale ambapo kuna mapungufu basi tuweze kufanya changes, tuweze kuboresha katika summit inayokuja, tupate wageni kama wale wengi, lakini tupate wataalamu pia kutoka nchi mbalimbali wengi ambao tukija tukishirikiana kwa pamoja tuweze kubadilisha sura ya mpira hapa nchini. Tumeandaa hii summit, haikuwa kazi nyepesi. Kwa kweli haikuwa kazi rahisi kabisa. Ilifika kipindi usiku na mchana, mtu muda wote unabidi ufanye kazi, umeenda huku, umewasiliana huku, yani haikuwa kazi rahisi. Haikuwa kazi rahisi kuorganize mpaka leo tumeweza kufanya kitu namna hii, lakini tumepata support ya watu, lakini pia institution. Kuna bango ile ambalo liko mbele yetu hapa. Tunaona kuna logo nyingi ziko. Hawa ni part ya sisi Afrisoka, mimi Peter, kuweza kufanikisha hii summit itokee. Hawa NBC Bank. Unajua ni mara chache sana unapo approach kampuni. Shlomi, naona niangalia, you don't understand. It's okay. You know, if you approach the company for the first time, it's very difficult to give you sponsorship. Very difficult. Because they don't know how we are going to do that, no? But these companies, at the first time, they agreed to work with us. Tomorrow, NBC want to give me 1,000. Another bank want to give me 2,000. I'll work with NBC, I'm telling you. Because of the trust they showed to us. Asas. Binafsi kabisa nimshukuru Faraji, mmoja wa directors wa kampuni ya Asas. Wakati naenda kuonana naye, haikuwa kazi rahisi pia kuonana naye. Ilikuwa ni kazi kumpata. Nakumbuka nilikaa kama masaa mawili pale namsubiri, ananiambia subiri, afu anapita, anarudi, anapita, lakini namsubiri. Lakini tulivyokutana tukuongea dakika 5 wakawa wameelewa nilichomwambia. Kwa bwana, hii ni kwa maendeleo ya mpira wa nchi yetu. Basi. Leo tumeshirikiana naye, tumekaa, tuko kwenye ukumbi mzuri, wageni wetu wamekuja vizuri na wanarudi safi kabisa. Kwa hiyo ni kampuni ambayo imesa. Kesho tunaona kuna mabadiliko yametokea kutokana na summit hii, wameplay part kubwa sana kwenye maendeleo haya. Azam TV, you are the best. Tunaona tumetoa tuzo hapa kwa Azam. Nafikiri hamna mtu anaibisha ile tuzo tuliyotoa kwamba kuna kampuni nyingine ya ambayo ina cover sports activities au events kama Azam TV. Wanafanya vizuri, sio tu hapa Tanzania, hata nchi nyingine. Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Malawi, kote wapo. Kwa hata sasa hivi summit tunavyofanya imeweza kuwafikia watu wote hao, wanaangalia nini tunafanya. Kwa Azam ina maana wanachangia katika maendeleo ya michezo, wanachangia kwenye maendeleo ya mpira wa miguu. Sisi tumekuja na idea kwamba tunataka tukafanya hichi, tumewaapproach Azam, wakaona kweli hichi kitu kinafaa, wakashirikiana sisi. Tumeanza nao toka mwanzo wa mwaka huu, maana ilikuwa tufanye mwezi wa 3 tulilisha, tumekuwa nao muda wote mpaka leo tunaifanya, na wamerusha live siku zote 2. Ina maana wameacha vipindi vingine, wameona kwamba kuna umuhimu sasa tuweze kupeleka elimu hii kwa Watanzania wengi na watu wa Afrika Mashariki na Afrika kwa ujumla. Kwa hiyo niwashukuru sana Azam. Patrick Emela amekuwa mwelewa pia kusupport hata kwa mawazo wakati tunakaa mara kwanza, bwana fanya hivi, fanya hivi. Tumeweza kupokea mawazo pia, tumefanyia kazi, naona pia ameweza kuleta matunda haya. Lakini pia niwashukuru CFM. CFM hii ni radio station ambayo iko Dodoma. Naamini wanaendelea kukua pia kwenda mikoa yote. Kipekee kabisa nimshukuru Bwana Best kwa kutusupport kuweza kufanikisha summit hii kuweza kufanyika. White Lake High School, hii ni shule ya sekondari, iko Changanyikeni karibu na chuo kikuu cha Dar es Salaam. Ni shule ya bweni kwa wasichana na wavulana. Hawa ni washirika wetu, tunashirikiana nao kwenye kuendesha mafunzo ya mpira wa miguu kwa watoto. Kuanzia miaka 4 mpaka 17 tunashirikiana nao. Na tumetoka kwenye kushirikiana kwenye shule, lakini tunaendelea kushirikiana kwenye vitu vingine. Kumbe mashule na institution nyingine za sports ziangalie namna gani ya kuweza kushirikiana na wadau wengine na kuweza kuendeleza mpira wetu. Unaweza kuwa na deal na shule lakini si kwenye shule tu. Sport, na nimemsikia Ria akizungumza wakati anazungumza maendeleo ya mpira wa wanawake na watoto. Kama tusipopeleka kwenye mashule bado tutakuwa tunakwama. Kwa ni fursa sasa kwa mashule kuweza kuangalia namna gani wanashirikiana na institution nyingine kuweza kuendeleza mpira wa miguu katika nchi yetu, lakini katika bara zima la Afrika. Mimi naamini wageni ambao wamekuja hapa wataondoka na wale ambao tumejifunza pia wataangalia kama yako applicable kwenye nchi yao, wataweza kuyapeleka kule na watafanya mabadiliko hayo. Afya Water ni partner mwingine. Nachukua muda huu kuongea kwa hao kwa sababu wameplay part kubwa sana kufanikisha hii shughuli. Wametupa support, tunawashukuru pia sana. Secret Hotel, I believe our guests walilala vizuri kabisa pale Secret Hotel, wamekaa vizuri muda wote. Mara kwanza walitupokea, this time tumerudia tena wametupokea. Shukrani za pekee kabisa ziende kwa Vil Patel, lakini pia Ilona, wameweza kushirikiana na sisi vizuri na kuelewa umuhimu wa hichi ambacho tunakifanya. ZebraWorks, Zafa, hawa ni printers. Tumeona hizi brochure ambazo tunazo, hizo badge ambazo tumevaa na vitu vingine, hizi printed material wao wameweza ku provide pamoja na Prarena, Bwana Salmin. La Liga, Alvaro Paya hakuwepo hapa mwishoni, alipata matatizo ya kifamilia akawa amesafiri kwenda Spain, lakini yupo Marcus Peregrin, huyu ni managing director La Liga South Africa, amesafiri all the way kutoka South Africa naye kuja hapa kusupport hichi tunachokifanya. Kwa hiyo tunawashukuru sana La Liga. Superstore, wao pia tunawashukuru sana. Bwana Daniel, tunawashukuru sana. Macho Halisi, hii ni kampuni ya Safari and Tour Arusha, wametusupport pia, tunawashukuru sana. Tunamshukuru sana Bwana Mariki Nixon kwa kutupa support, pamoja na Black Lino. Black Lino pia ni academy ambayo ipo Arusha. Kama mtakumbuka mwaka jana mwishoni mashindano ya Sekafa Under 20 yalifanyika pale. Ana kiwanja kizuri kabisa, na kama mtashuhudia pia kuna tuzo ilitolewa ya mtunzaji bora wa kiwanja ilienda kwa Black Line. Hiyo tumefanya pia kuweza kuencourage institution nyingine kudevelop na kutunza viwanja, kwa sababu tunapokuwa na viwanja vingi tunatoa nafasi kubwa kwa watoto wengi kupata nafasi ya kucheza. Kwa hiyo hao ndo partner tulikuwa nao kwa pamoja toka tumeanza mpaka hapa tulipofika, lakini pia nisahau kuwashukuru wenyewe Hayat pia wameshirikiana na sisi kiasi kubwa sana, wala siwezi kusema ni kiasi kubwa ambacho pengine bila wao ingekuwa ngumu pia kuweza kufanikisha jambo hili. Kwa hiyo mimi nashukuru wote. Hapa katikati tutaangalia kabla ya kusubiri summit nyingine kutokea, ni activities gani ambazo tunataka tunazifanya ambazo zinaweza kaendeleza hichi ambacho tumekizungumza hapa. Haya ambayo tumeyazungumza haya, tuone namna gani sasa kabla ya kufikia hii event itakuwa inafanyika kila mwaka. Tumeanza mwaka huu, mwakani pia tutafanya, confirm tarehe na mwezi wa kufanya hii event. Kwa hiyo kabla tujafanya, lakini hapa katikati pasiwe pamekaa mwaka mzima wote bila kuwa na activity nyingine ya kufanya. Nimepokea proposal yako Mheshimiwa Rais, Chama cha Mpira Zanzibar, ya kufanyia summit kule Zanzibar, na Bwana Abdul mkurugenzi wa mawasiliano Ikulu Zanzibar pia amepropose tufikiria kufanyia Zanzibar. We are thinking about that, and I do believe we'll do something together. AfriSoccer is there to support you guys also. We have been there. We came there, I think, last year. Then we visited different teams, clubs, even the federation. We met various people, various leaders, and we discussed on how we are going to bring the changes there, even in Zanzibar. We have players. We manage even players from Zanzibar under AfriSoccer, like Abdulaziz Makame, Hassan Nasr. They are under AfriSoccer management. So we are trying. We reach there. We are together. Wote kote tunafanya pamoja, na unapokuwa na jambo lolote sisi kushirikiana sisi. But also I would like to ask for our visitors, if you have something important for football development, something, anything, we are ready to join and to collaborate with you. So anytime you call, sometimes you might need some links here in Tanzania. We are there just to facilitate and to help on that. Shlomi, you're a software engineer and you showed a very a good application software. So I think we need that thing here in Tanzania. We need that thing. So we have to plan on how we're going to make the use of that thing here. I have a lot, lakini nisizungumze sana. Ni vishukuru vilabu ambavyo vimekuja hapa, lakini ili naomba nilizungumze, sababu nisizozungumza nitajisikia vibaya. Moja beneficiaries ilikuwa ni vyama, vilabu vya mpira Tanzania, ambao walikuwa wanufaike kiasi kubwa sana na kongamano hili. Lakini vilabu ambao vimeweza kufika hapa havijazidi vilabu 5. Nimeona Yanga, nimeona Simba, Azam Football Club na Police Tanzania. Sasa nafikiri ifike wakati vilabu viangalie mara mbili, kwamba sisi tunapofanya juhudi za kutaka kuwasaidia wao pia, alafu wakitu disappoint pia inarudisha nyuma sana. Kwenye mkutano ili ushiriki ulikuwa lazima ulipie ticket. Lakini kwa vilabu tusema hapana. Hawa ndo tunataka sisi, kwa sababu haya tuliojifunza yote yanahusiana na vilabu na hizo institutions za football. Hakuna viongozi wa vilabu wako hapa. Na bahati nzuri communication imefanyika kupitia bodi ya ligi, wamealikwa. Sisi pia tumeweza kualika. Kwa hiyo vilabu vikitaka vipate mabadiliko, maana tunalalamika kila siku vilabu hatuna sponsor. Mimi kuna vilabu vinanipigia simu kila siku nitafute sponsor, niwatafutie sponsor. Lakini leo tunawaita sasa, njooni mpate skills za wenyewe kwenda kutafuta sponsor. Hawaji. Leo nimewatafutia sponsor, unawezaje kummaintain sponsor? Maana kupata sponsor kitu kimoja, kufanya sponsor kae na wewe ni kitu kingine, sio kazi rahisi. Sasa sio, kwa hiyo tunafanya hivi vitu kwa ajili yao. Kwa hiyo vilabu hasa vya ligi kuu, sasa hivi TV rights Azam ameongeza mkataba, anategemea pia apate return kutoka investment aliyofanya hiyo. Mpira uishi kwenye kucheza tu zile dakika 90. Hii yote ni maandalizi ya timu kuweza kucheza vizuri. Sababu leo ukiwa na timu nzuri ya marketing na sponsorship utapata sponsors. Ukiwa na sponsors maana yake unapata pesa, sio? Na mpira ni pesa. Kwa hiyo ukiwa na pesa utaweza kuwa na strong team. Utaweza kusajili wachezaji wazuri. Utaweza kulipa mishahara ya wachezaji. Utaweza kusafiri, utaweza kulala hoteli nzuri. Timu lazima itafanya vizuri. Sasa mafanikio hayaji kimeujiza. It's not easy. Sio namna ambavyo wao yani tunaona ni rahisi tu, kwamba kama kawaida tunaamka leo tuna mechi, tunaenda mazoezini, tumeenda saa 10 na saa 10 tumetoka saa 12. Hapana, kuna vitu zaidi ya hivyo. Yani tukienda kiundani kwenye football kuna vitu vingi ndani, vitu vingi. Leo hii hata wachezaji wanapata injuries kila siku, lakini pengine kumbe kuna vitu ambavyo wanatakiwa wafanye kabla ya viko vitu vingi sana. Tuliwahi kufanya sisi capacity building workshop kwa wachezaji ambao tunawasimamia. Tulifanyia White Sand. Tulikuwa na wataalamu mpaka kutoka Ufaransa. Wanawaambia namna gani ya kufanya mazoezi. Mazoezi gani yafanyike wakati gani? Kuna mazoezi unafanya kama kesho kutwa na mechi, kesho kutwa huwezi kucheza mechi. Umeumia, kuna aina fulani injury, namna gani uweze kurecover kutoka kwenye injury. Communication tuliwafundisha. Unaojiwa mchezaji unajibu tofauti na unavyojiwa. na pengine unajibu hata maswali ya kocha. We need to train them. Sasa pia wachezaji, sasa hii hamasa kwa wachezaji ambao pia walikuwa ni miongoni mwa wanufaikaji wa hii summit. Wachezaji pia wawe tayari kusikiliza yale ambao wanafundishwa na wataalamu. Mchezaji anacheza mpira, kikubwa anafanya mazoezi, anaenda kwenye mechi, mazoezi mwaka mzima, ana mapumziko mafupi tu. Lakini taasisi au kampuni kama Afrisoka inafanya vitu sasa ambavyo mchezaji hawezi kufanya. Tutatoa mfano rahisi tu. Usimamizi wa wachezaji, kusimamia mchezaji kwa maana intermediary. Kuna hiyo ni topic ambayo tulizungumza, wakala. Mchezaji hawezi kuwa na muda wote anaingia kwenye kompyuta, kwenye internet kutafuta timu nje. Hawezi, atafanya mazoezi saa ngapi? Atapumzika saa ngapi? Mchezaji hawezi kusoma mkataba kwenda kunegotiate. Sawa, wapo wachache lakini wanahitaji hii huduma. Kwa hiyo agent sasa yeye inabidi pia ajiendeleze ili kuona kwamba anafanya kazi ambazo mchezaji anatakiwa apumzike afanye hivyo. Tumefanya course kutoka Spain kwa ajili ya usimamizi wa wachezaji. Yote hayo sasa ni unajua tunafanya ili kuona namna gani tunaenda sawa na wenzetu walipo. Kwa wachezaji wawe tayari kushirikiana na mawakala, wawe tayari kushirikiana na watu ambao wana uwezo mkubwa kwenye wana uelewa mkubwa kwenye swala la football. Huwa nawaambia wachezaji, kwa sababu wachezaji pia wana tabia ya kuzungumza. Njia aliyotumia mchezaji mmoja nafikiri na mwingine atatumia hiyo hiyo. Njia aliyotumia labda Simon Msuva kwenda Morocco sio njia aliyotumia Adam kwenda Libya. Tofauti. Sasa unakuta mchezaji uko naye anataka alete approach iliyofanyika kwa mtu mwingine. No, it doesn't work. Haifanyi kazi hivyo. Kila mtu ana njia zake. Kila mtu ana muda wake. Kikubwa wachezaji waamini mawakala wao, waamini watu wanaowasimamia. Kwa mimi niwashukuru sana kwa kufika hapa kwa siku zote hizi mbili tumefanya pamoja. Kuna watu wengine wametusupport lakini bahati mbaya wameshindwa kufika. Tunashukuru sana. Naamini mwakani tutafanya vizuri sana. Na mimi naomba niishie hapo. Sasa nimkaribishe mgeni rasmi Bwana Charles Magazu ambaye yuko hapa kumwakilisha Kaimu Katibu Mkuu Baraza la Michezo Tanzania, kuweza sio kufunga, wanasema kushafunga na maana ni event ambayo umefanya mara moja. Wanasema kuahirisha kwamba inakuja tena next time, muda sio mrefu. Karibu sana mgeni rasmi.
Asante sana. Habari za jioni. Kwa rasmi nifahamu, mimi naitwa Charles John Maguzu. Ni afisa michezo kutoka Baraza la Michezo la Taifa BMT. Nimekuja hapa kwa ajili ya kumwakilisha Katibu Mtendaji wa Baraza la Michezo Tanzania, dadangu namba Msita, ambaye amepata udhuru na kuona kwamba ataweza kuhudhuria katika ufungaji wa mkutano au kikao hiki. Kwa namna ya kipekee nipenda kutumia nafasi hii kumshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa kutuwezesha kuwepo katika eneo hili na kufanikisha mafunzo haya. Lakini kubwa zaidi ningependa kutumia nafasi hii kuwashukuru nyinyi nyote ambao mmeweza kuhudhuria kwenye mafunzo haya, kwenye kikao hiki, kwenye mkutano muhimu kabisa, na naomba tujipongeze, tuipigie makofi matatu. Lakini jambo lingine ningependa kuwashukuru sana sponsors, wadhamini ambao wote wameweza kuwezesha kufanyika katika jambo letu ambalo tulipanga tulifanye. Na vile vile nashukuru sana shirikisho la chama cha mpira Tanzania TFF kwa kushirikiana na vyama vingine, mashirikisho mengine kutoka mataifa mbalimbali kuweza kushiriki pamoja na waandaaji kuhakikisha kwamba shughuli inaenda vizuri. Lakini vile vile niwapongeze kwa majadiliano ambayo mmeyafanya kwa siku hizi mbili. Nimejaribu kupitia kwa haraka, nimegundua majifunza mambo mengi. Lakini jambo moja hapo ambalo pia discuss ni masuala ya maendeleo ya michezo hususani wanawake kushiriki katika mpira wa miguu pamoja na vijana. Ni jambo ambalo ni zuri katika maendeleo ya mpira wa miguu katika taifa letu na dunia kwa ujumla. Lakini vile vile nimejifunza masuala ya mawakala, umuhimu wa mawakala katika kuwawezesha wachezaji kushiriki katika michezo mbalimbali, kuweza kupata timu na kulinda maslahi yao. Ni jambo ambalo nimelijadili hilo, nawapongeza sana. Lakini vile nimejadili masuala ya mapato, namna ya kucreate mapato kwenye timu zetu ziweze kushiriki katika michezo wakiwa wana uwezo wa kifedha na kufanya vizuri katika mashindano mbalimbali. Lakini pia tumeona swala la masoko katika swala zima la mpira wa miguu na kutafuta wadhamini. Discuss kwa mapana na kufikia conclusion ya kwamba ili tuweze kuendelea lazima tuwe tunapata wadhamini ili kusudi timu ziweze kujiendesha zenyewe na kusimama kwa miguu yake, lakini vile vile kwa kushirikiana na serikali kuhakikisha kwamba yote haya yanakwenda vizuri. Ndugu washiriki wa summit hii, ningependa pia kushukuru kwa kujadili swala la teknolojia katika masuala ya maendeleo ya michezo, sasa ni mpira wa miguu katika dunia ya sasa, na ninaamini kwa kupitia wawezeshaji ambao walizungumza hapa, kila mmoja atakuwa ameelewa nini kinatakiwa kufanywa, na baada ya hapa mtakwenda kushirikiana kuhakikisha kwamba mnatumia teknolojia ya sasa kama ambavyo alidokeza msemaji aliondoka sasa hivi kwamba teknolojia katika michezo katika nyanja nyingi sio tu mazoezi ya kisasa, lakini hata pia kutumia vifaa vya kisasa. Unaweza ukaenda gym sasa hivi ukashangaa vile vifaa hata tu namna kuvioperate uwezi, kwa sababu teknolojia inakuwa siku hadi siku. Kwa hiyo ni jambo la msingi sana kuhamasisha wachezaji wetu na viongozi wa vilabu mbalimbali kuhakikisha kwamba wanatumia teknolojia katika kuendeleza mpira katika nchi yetu ya Tanzania na duniani kwa ujumla. Basi binafsi sisi kama serikali, kwa niaba ya serikali na kwa kupitia Baraza la Michezo ya Tanzania, ningependa kusema wazi kabisa kwamba yale yote ambayo mmeyadiscuss tutayachukua, kwa sababu mmesema mtatupatia, tutayachukua, tutakwenda kuyafanyia kazi sisi kama serikali, tuone kwa nafasi yetu kama serikali tunakwenda kufanya nini. Lakini vivyo ninawaahidi kabisa tutashirikiana na mashirikisho ya chama cha mpira wa miguu, lakini vile vile na mashirikisho ambayo yako ndani ya nchi na nje ya nchi kuhakikisha kwamba tunakuwa kitu kimoja. Ninaamini katika taifa lote duniani ukitaka kuendeleza michezo, kwanza shikilia kwenye football first. Muangalie jirani yako mwambie football first. Kwa hiyo tukifanikisha kushika mpira wa miguu katika dunia sasa, michezo mingine itafuata tu. Kwa hiyo ninaahidi kabisa haya yote nitayachukua, nitayapelekea viongozi, na naamini ikifika pale Baraza la Michezo limefika kwa waziri, likifika kwa waziri limefika kwa waziri mkuu, likifika kwa waziri mkuu limeshafika kwa Mheshimiwa Rais. Haya yote ambayo mmeyadiscuss kwa siku mbili hapa yaweze kupata matokeo chanya kuhakikisha kwamba mpira wa miguu katika taifa letu linaendelea. Lakini pia nataka niseme wazi kabisa, tumejadili ushiriki wa wanawake katika mpira wa miguu. Kumshirikisha mtu aweze kushiriki jambo inahitaji ushawishi wa hali ya juu, lakini ushawishi huu utawezekana pale utakapomwambia umuhimu wake yeye kulifanya lile tukio. Kwa hiyo ninaamini tutatafuta wataalamu mbalimbali ambao watatoa semina maeneo mbalimbali katika taifa letu la Tanzania kuhakikisha kwamba wanawake wanapata elimu ya kujua kwamba wanaopaswa kushiriki katika mchezo wa mpira wa miguu kwa ajili ya kujenga maisha yao, lakini pia kujenga jamii yetu ya Kitanzania na kujenga taifa letu la Tanzania na hata Afrika kwa ujumla. Ninaamini kwa kushare experience na wageni wetu kutoka mataifa mbalimbali kama vile Israeli ambao wako hapa, ndugu zetu kutoka Uganda, South Africa na wengineo, kwa hizi siku mbili mtakuwa mbadilishana mawazo chanya kwa lengo la kuhakikisha kwamba mpira wa miguu unaendelea katika taifa letu. Nikiangalia hapa katika kikao hiki, wengi huwa nawasikia tu, naona kwenye television, ila leo nimebahatika kuona kina mzee wangu Madadi, namuona Senzo yuko pale pamoja na wengine. Nimeambiwa kuna wachezaji hapa kutoka mataifa mbalimbali wako hapa. Ninaamini package ya siku mbili ambayo imejadiliana kwa pamoja itakuwa ni chachu na chanzo halisi cha kwenda mbele katika positive changes za maendeleo ya mpira wa miguu katika taifa letu la Tanzania. Kuna jambo moja limezungumzwa hapa, kwangu mimi nimechukua kama changamoto kwamba fursa hii walitakiwa shiriki wale wachezaji wote wa vilabu ambao vimealikwa pamoja na viongozi wao, lakini zimekuja timu chache. Basi nilikuwa naomba muandaaji utajaribu kukaa chini na kujadili nao, uone kwamba kitu gani kiliwakwaza akashindwa kuja, uweze kutupatia sisi kama serikali ili tuje tuangalie wakati mwingine mtakapofanya hizo changamoto tujaribu kuzisolve wote kwa pamoja, sisi pamoja na wao na nyinyi, ili tuhudhurie wote hapa tupate package ambayo itakuwa ni nzuri kwa maendeleo ya taifa letu. Sababu akipata wachache wengi hawajapata, kidogo inakuwa kama lengo linataka lisiwe halijafanikiwa. Kwa hiyo ninaomba sana utakaa chini, utatuambia nini ambacho kimetokea, tutakaa nao tujadili nao awamu ijayo pajaye hapa na watu waweze kufika, kila mmoja apate package ambayo itakiwa ondoke nayo kwa maslahi mapana ya mpira katika taifa letu. Baada ya kusema maneno hayo, mimi siwachoshe sana, niseme tu kwamba ninatangaza rasmi kwamba mafunzo haya ninaahirisha rasmi mpaka pale mtakapokuwa mmeyapanga tena, mtupe taarifa, tutaendelea kushirikiana siku hadi siku kwa ajili ya kujenga mpira wa miguu katika taifa letu la Tanzania na Afrika kwa ujumla. Asanteni sana.
Asante sana, nashukuru sana mheshimiwa. Usimame kati tupige picha. I'm going to request for a photo. Basi kutoka hapa Hyatt tumekamilisha siku ya pili ya kikao hiki kuhusiana na maendeleo ya mpira wa miguu Tanzania na barani Afrika. Tungependa kuwashukuru sana Azam TV kwa kurusha matangazo haya kwa watazamaji wetu wapendwa. Hatuna zaidi, tunawatakieni nyote weekend njema na michezo iendelee kudumu. Sasa sisi tunaendelea na upigaji picha. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue with our picture. Naomba usimame kwa chini hapo. Everybody at the front, in the front row, may I please welcome you to join the guest of honor. Peter, please come through. Tuweze kupata picha ya pamoja, and we're going straight to the cocktail. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going down to Zanzibar room. Yes, all of us, all the way down to the cocktail room at Zanzibar room. Watu watasimama juu ya jukwaa tu. Haina matatizo. Okay, picture number 1 is good. Peter, please remain with the guest of honor. Naomba nikaribishe wengine katika safu ya mbele. Wawakilishi presenters wetu, naomba karibu mbele. Ya wengine tusimame kwa nyuma. Safi kabisa. Can I add on some more presenters? Can I, Edward? Asante, naomba tupige picha ya tatu tafadhali with our guests from Israel. Wageni wetu wengine safu ya tatu na ya 4 hapo, karibuni mbele. Please come through for the photo. Everywhere else behind Gibby. Please come through the photo.